How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Could you give me some idea?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
Marky got with Sharon, and Sharon got Sharia. She was sharing Sharon's outlook on the topic of disease. Mikey had a facial scar and Bobby was a racist. They were all in love with dying, they were doing it in Texas. Tommy played piano like a kid out in the rain, and then he lost his leg in Dallas. He was dancing with the train. They were all in love with dying, they were drinking from a fountain that was pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain.
I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows. I can taste you on my lips and smell you in my clothes.
Carlin gets it.
What up, guys? What up? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the cult of whatever I want it to be on any given day. This is a little show I do Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And we talk about whatever I want to, whether that be the cult of the far left, or in this case, the cult of the classical liberals and the Zionists, and the classical liberals who are also Zionists, and the Zionists who are probably also classical liberals, but have been masquerading as conservatives for a really long time, and to the point where they've convinced conservatives to be liberal without conservatives realizing that they're liberal. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. So we got some news today that Jeremy Boring has stepped down as CEO of the Daily Wire. And I know we are all heartbroken at this news. I know that we were all just really upset about it. I know that, a tear was shed. I reminisced back to last year when I cornered Jeremy Boring in a Twitter space, and I got him to admit that he fired Candace Owens because of her stance on Israel. And he hadn't admitted, Jeremy Boring hadn't even admitted that he had fired Candace Owens at that point. He hadn't even admitted that. And then to basically have him admit that he fired Candace Owens because Candace Owens had the wrong opinion on Israel, which is not America, I was pretty impressed with myself for that. It took asking him a series of questions to back him into a corner until he finally just spit it out. And it was tough for me to get those questions in too, because Nick Fuentes was on that Twitter space. Some of Nick Fuentes' friends were on that Twitter space. None of them like me, because I'm a woman and not a Christian and all this stuff. So none of them really wanted me to speak at all. And then I got him to admit it anyway. And even Nick admitted that I asked good questions on his show, I think that night or the following night, if I remember correctly. Anyway, we have some reactions to watch about the excuse me, sorry. We have some reactions to watch about the news that Jeremy Boring is out at the Daily Wire. We're going to watch Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll, who has, he was always like, I always kind of knew peripherally who Ian Carroll was. Now, what I do not like about Ian Carroll is he is purposefully distancing himself from Nick Fuentes and the Groypers, even though they agree on a whole heck of a lot, and I just don't understand why he would just purposefully distance himself from them, other than he buys into the bullshit about Nick, which doesn't really make sense to me. It's like when people who should know better distance themselves from Nick, I'm kind of like, what's going on? Like when I was critical of Nick, there was no reason for me to know better. There really wasn't. And I feel like I investigated Nick more than like the average person, but there was like I wasn't into the JQ stuff. I wasn't into any of the things he was into. There was really no reason for me to know better. So I feel like I can plead ignorance. Ian Carroll cannot plead ignorance. Ian Carroll is in a very different place than I was when I came around to Nick. And I think he should know better. So I don't mind Ian Carroll. I don't like him. I don't dislike him. He seems like a nice enough guy. I didn't watch his appearance on Joe Rogan. I did hear about it. I thought about maybe watching it on stream. Maybe we will someday. But, I mean, he does seem like a good carrier of his particular messaging because, first of all, he seems really smart in the way he breaks this stuff down. He also does seem to be more insightful than the average bear, and he's likable. And people need to hear stuff from people who are likable sometimes. I don't know how to be likable. Either you like me or you hate me. I do not have the gift of likability that Ian Carroll has. And I'm good at other things, but sometimes you need likable people, and that's fine too. So we're going to watch Ian Carroll's reaction to that. Also, Candace, who is currently live, but Candace did talk earlier on her show today about her reaction to Jeremy Boring leaving, and so I thought we would watch a little bit of like breaking news Candace Owens reaction, because I'm sure Candace Owens was just deeply distraught about this, and I'm sure she's definitely not taking a victory lap on her show, which will be delicious, of course. And so I want to check in on that. And then, the classical liberals, guys, Colin Wright, James Lindsay, Konstantin Kisin, the classical liberals believe that we're all retarded. I really do believe this. I think that the classical liberals, the people like this asshole, who hold themselves up as being smarter and more intellectual than anyone, and they go to their cocktail parties with their pinkies out at their think tanks, and they philosophize about things and write in their journal articles that no one ever reads, and they are smarter than all of us. They actually think that people are retarded, though. I'm convinced of this. Colin Wright posted this on Twitter the other day. Colin Wright, who has called me insane on multiple occasions, never spoken to the guy, but he's talking about my mental health. All right. Why Christ is King is the woke right equivalent of Black Lives Matter. Understanding how ideological movements manipulate language is crucial to understanding their influence. The transformation of Christ as King follows a rhetorical playbook similar to that of Black Lives Matter. On the surface, both phrases express morally objectionable truths. Unobjectionable truths, of course. Christ is King to Christians just as Black lives should matter to everyone. However, in both cases, ideological movements have hijacked these statements to push their extremist views. Colin, the difference between the Christ is King people and the Black Lives Matter people is that Black Lives Matter was trying to cancel anyone who wouldn't put a black square on their fucking Instagram. And the Christ is King people literally are just talking about their beliefs about how America should be run. They're not actually trying to cancel anyone. In fact, they're some of the strongest free speech advocates that you're going to find anywhere. So Colin Wright is pretending that you guys all are stupid. Colin Wright is pretending that because it's a nice kind of like alliterative effect, right? Christ is king, Black Lives Matter. He's trying to pretend that because Christ is king is like a short slogan, it's exactly the same thing as saying Black Lives Matter when it's not. So he's having some opinions over there. And then we've got this guy, and we're going to watch this. I don't know who saw this today. This guy has got to be the biggest pussy on the internet. And this guy is like a woman. This guy cries on the internet like a woman. And you have to hear his meltdown about how he is a Zionist and and if you are not a Zionist, then you should just unfollow him. I was like, okay, bro, I never followed you in the first place, but like, why are we crying on the internet? And then, of course, Keri Smith had to get involved, and she's been being amplified a lot by James Lindsay because Keri is saying all of the sweet nothings that James Lindsay loves to hear. And Keri said yesterday, or maybe earlier today, I don't even remember at this point. I think this was actually today. Truth above all. This is why dismissing truth when spoken by non-believers like James Lindsay, Colin Wright, and Jordan Peterson, who has also lost his mind, by the way, doesn't sway me as a Christian. God can use anyone to speak truth. God is truth. Those who subvert it and say the Christ is king, blah, 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 blah. And Keri is retweeting Joel Berry, who has also just gone insane. I don't know if he was ever really that smart to begin with, but he is like certainly stupid now. And so yesterday when we were doing our spy stream, Stony Baloney came, or social media comment section is what he goes by here. He came into the chat and he said, I watched a couple minutes of Keri's stream about the woke right and it was really boring and stupid. And I was like, oh, well, we have to watch it then. We have to watch it. We have to watch. We haven't watched Keri in so long. And it's so bad. I shouldn't be doing this. I really shouldn't be doing this. But if I'm going to go there, I might as well go there. And that's going to be what it is. So, guys, we're going to be doing the following things. First off, we're going to be watching Ian Carroll give his opinion. We're going to be checking in with Candace Owens to see what she had to say about Jeremy Boring stepping down. Then we are going to be going over, and not that one, this one, listening to this pussy cry about how he's a Zionist and you should unfollow him if you are not a Zionist. And then, just to top it all off, the cherry on top of the cake, we will be tuning in to a little bit of Keri Smith's woke right subversive Christ is king is anti-Semitism, and if you say anything else, then you are not a true Christian stream. That is what we're going to be doing on the show today. And listen, we have a little extra time today because announcement, programming note, Jennifer is not feeling well, so we will not be doing Disenraged tonight. Disenraged is canceled for tonight. We will have to come back and watch about satanic initiation rituals with children next week at 9 p.m., which is what we're going to do this week. But that's okay. Jennifer can take a break. She came down with something. Because her husband was at fault, obviously. And so we will not be doing that tonight. So we got some time to kind of like stretch out our legs and just have a little bit of fun with what's going on and have a nice little drama stream. And that's what we are going to do today. So guys, please mount the like button for me if you would be so kind. If you've never been to my channel before, welcome. If you are new to me, I basically hate everyone. I hate everyone on both sides, except for Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. They're okay. And so we just are going to make fun of everyone and hopefully talk some common sense and just, try to be a nuanced voice of wisdom on the internet. But before we get into that, I have a couple quick announcements. Now, guys, I have to tell you. I started a new little side project over the weekend. I know, shocking that I would start a side project. It's shocking that I would literally be in the middle of writing a book, which is the Be Gay, Do Crime book, the Mary Nardini game book, and I would be inspired to just completely switch gears and do something else for a couple days. I know this is shocking for everyone. This never happens. But I did have a moment, just like an inspiration over the weekend. And I've been talking about this in my community a little bit, and maybe people have seen me post about it. I got inspired in an epic way to write what is turning out to be possibly the best thing that I have ever written in my life, or that I will ever write in my life. You know, I've talked before about how, like, I've been a writer for a long time. I published my first book a long ass time ago. I always write things behind the scenes. I have a bunch of different Substacks because I like to write about different topics. I don't always keep up with them like I should. You guys don't even see most of the stuff that I write because it's mostly just me tinkering around and then going, that sucks. I don't want anyone to see that, and then having a massive panic attack that I suck at this and I'm never gonna be able to make a living at it. And which isn't true. Like, I provably do make a living at it, but it's still like it gets in your head and you question yourselves when you're creative. Anyway, I had an inspiration over the weekend to basically turn the Communist Manifesto into a dystopian fairy tale. Now, obviously, I was probably smoking too much weed at the time. That probably did happen. But that doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea. And I have to tell you guys, I have the entire story written out. There have been several rounds of revisions. There has been editing. I've got the first 2 draft chapters posted on my Red Menace Collective Substack. It's so good. This was inspired by God. I've been saying there are times, and it's not the weed, I swear to God. I've been saying there are times when I write things that I know it's coming from me and it's my perspective, and there's nothing kind of magical about it. There have also been times when I write things that I don't feel like it's coming from me. I feel like it's coming through me from some other source. When I wrote the Democrat left the left after going to the Trump rally article, the one that I just posted on Medium thinking no one would ever read it, and then just millions and millions and millions of people did, that came through me. And I wasn't even smoking weed when I wrote that. That came through me. That was inspired by another source, and it came through me. And there's a very distinct feeling when you're writing something that is inspired and when you're just kind of like pulling from yourself, okay? This story is inspired. It's so fucking good. And I know there are people who have been kind of like reading the first couple chapters of it. The feedback that I've been getting on there are 5 acts in total. The whole thing will be up this week. I'm just editing it now. But like, I've been getting really good feedback on the first 2, and I really think that this is, I think a lot of people are going to like this story. I think this is tackling a subject matter in a way that it hasn't been tackled before. I think people are going to be shocked at some of the twists and the turns that this story takes. And I just really want people to check it out, and I really want people to like it as much as I do, because if people don't like this, I quit. Honest to God, if people don't like this book, I will quit the fucking internet, and someone's going to try to hold me to that. Someone's going to try to get this thing canceled. I swear to God, though, because if people don't like this, I have monumentally misjudged what is good and what is bad, and I'm very excited about this project. And so I'm turning the Communist Manifesto into a dystopian fairy tale that is basically like, I'll give you a little sense of the story. You're in a magical kingdom where there is an oppressed class and an oppressor class, and the oppressed class rises up and they have their communist revolution. And so that's the Communist Manifesto part. It follows like the stuff that was literally talked about by Marx and Engels and stuff like that. And then you get to see the aftermath of the communist revolution. And that's when it gets really, 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 really good. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it other than this is like every Socialism Saturday has come together and has provided all of the ammunition that I needed for this book from start to finish. So, if you guys want to read it, you can head over to the Red Menace Collective. That is redmenacecollective.substack.com. This is where I post draft chapters of my books as I'm writing them, so you guys can actually read along with the book before it gets published. The first chapter, which is called Act 1, The Enchanted Chains, is free to read for everyone. You can find it on the Red Menace Collective Substack. You can also find it on my main Substack. I posted it on both. That is completely free to read for everyone. All subsequent chapters, which will all be posted this week, are exclusive for members of the Red Menace Collective, because this is how I fund my ability to write books. I put the draft chapters out there. You guys get special access. You get to see the book as it's actually coming together, and then the book will be released when it's all done, which I think actually might be by April 1st. I'm kind of targeting April 1st. I kind of like, it's like a little April Fool's Day thing. It's like, no, this is not an April Fool's joke. This is real. I wrote a dystopian fairy tale about the Communist Manifesto. And so, but you can read the chapters now, and you can read them as they go up on redmenacecollective.substack.com. And so please check it out. Please give it feedback. And I really do hope that people like it as much as I do. And I might even record an audio version for this, but on the Substack actually has a feature where if you want an audio version of the book, you can actually enable the feature that will allow Substack to read it for you. So you can actually access an audio version currently on the Red Menace Collective Substack. It just won't be me reading it. It will be whatever voice you choose on Substack to read it, which probably works out better for everyone. But I might actually do an audio version of this one too. So that is what I've been working on, and I really do hope you guys like it. Of course, we do have a couple new books out. The Debunking the Communist Manifesto book just got released on Friday. If you have not yet picked up your copy of Debunking the Communist Manifesto, this is a 400-page rant debunking every aspect of the Communist Manifesto. I want to thank the people who have already given it 5-star reviews. This is the book you buy your kid if you find them reading the Communist Manifesto under their bed. Ignore this line in the middle of the cover. This is a proofing copy. Your copy won't have that. It'll look more like that. So pick that up on Amazon now. And of course, while you're there, you can also pick up my other new-ish book called A Brief History of Racism. This book traces the origin, the definition and the evolution of the term racism. So it goes back to when the term racism was first used, and then traces the development of the evolution all the way up through modern day. That is also available on Amazon right now, and thank you to everyone who has given that reviews as well. And I just want to mention, because we are doing the woke rights stuff today, I haven't made an update to the Unwoke Art merchandise store in a bit. Of course, there's always amazing merch that you can always get. I have the best anti-communist merch on the internet in the Unwoke Art store. I'm currently wearing the Are You an Anti-Communist shirt, which is this one right here with McCarthy pointing at you. And so that's the one I'm wearing right now, and it actually looks really effing cool. You can kind of see it. It looks cool. But I wanted to show people as a joke, and I will be doing a merch update this week. If you go to the search bar and put in dark woke, did you guys know I made a series of hats that I didn't really promote just because I thought it would be a little fun, a little fun. You can get them in different colors. And if you want to just fully embrace your woke right self, those are available in the Unwoke Art store. I just made them as a joke. I thought it would be funny, but I kind of also want one, and I might be buying one for myself. Probably this pink one right here. But yeah, you can find that in the store if you want to. And the Unwoke Art store will be getting an update very, very soon with some new merch, and you guys are going to love the new merch. I think it's going to be great. All right, let's jump into things, though. Let's jump into things. The first thing that I would like to watch today is Ian Carroll and his take on Jeremy Boring being ousted at the Daily Wire.
Is going bankrupt, allegedly, and Jeremy Boring is officially out as CEO.
Ooh.
That's right. The self-proclaimed God King of the Daily Wire is at the heart of so many scandals. And yes, he is self-described as the God King. And the email just went out today internally that he is stepping down, and now Axios is covering the story. It has not yet broken, as far as I'm aware, that private equity is moving in and looking to buy up the Daily Wire. I heard, rumor mill, that Silver Lake Capital is looking to buy them up. And yo, Silver Lake, you guys might want to watch this video before you think too hard about it, because there's a lot that is not in the public square right now. We're about to get into stuff like canceled credit cards, lying to the press, trying to trick Tim Pool. As far as I can tell
Ooh.
from my sources, even people inside of the Daily Wire only know part of the story, and they're all kind of getting played against each other. It's a whole mess. And the most important part of this mess is that the Daily Wire has a long history of treating their employees like shit. And so I've had numerous sources inside the Daily Wire for quite some time because everyone hates them, even their own people. That's not to mention the numerous sources outside of the Daily Wire that did not take the NDA money on the way out. Like, I had people literally in my comments on Instagram offering to give me dirt on the Daily Wire because they hated the Daily Wire so much. It's out of control. And it all centers around the God King and his fucking massive ego and his lifelong desire to be a famous actor and make it in Hollywood, which he failed at originally years and years and years ago. And so once the Daily Wire was off the ground, he just couldn't help but try to turn the Daily Wire into a Hollywood movie studio and produce the Pendragon series. Note that this article is from 2023, and he said that he had dreamt of bringing this book to the screen for 25 years. It was due to stream exclusively on Daily Wire Plus in 2024. Why didn't that happen? That's a good question. And that leads to us talking about all the Daily Wire's employees' credit cards getting frozen, allegedly. Just to first set the stage though, producing a Hollywood movie is like a huge multi-million dollar undertaking. It is not the same as filming Ben Shapiro talking really fast at liberals. So I've actually been collecting information on this story for quite some time here. And now that it has officially broken in the news, I think my sources are a little safe. Portraying it as though Jeremy Boring is willingly stepping back to work on creative projects like the Pendragon cycle, and that he'll remain with the company in an advisory role. My sources are telling me that the Pendragon cycle is being moved off-site and out of the Daily Wire's physical purview because they're not letting Jeremy Boring back in the building right now, apparently. Jeremy Boring was 100% allegedly forced out, not a willing leave. And that's because this financial problem has been going on for years. They had recently had to table all projects and do a hiring freeze because there was no money in the bank, allegedly. All the way back in 2023, Jeremy and Ben Shapiro apparently had to put money into the Daily Wire, their own personal money.
I just want to point this out. Because I'm old enough to remember when Candace joined the Daily Wire and everyone made this big deal out of it, and Candace was going to be like the next Oprah, and she had this whole talk show. Because when Candace joined the Daily Wire, she wasn't doing what she's doing now and just looking into a camera and doing reaction videos and stuff like that. Candace had a whole like list of guests. She had this whole set. They had a whole billboard around her joining. All this stuff. And then that obviously didn't work out the way they thought it would. And then you have someone like Brett Cooper, and I don't know that much about Brett Cooper, but people seem to like Brett Cooper an awful lot. And then Brett Cooper had this other falling out with the Daily Wire, where the Daily Wire apparently kept her social media accounts. Like, what a shitty, petty thing to do when someone leaves. Like a personality leaves and you say, no, we're keeping your social media accounts, so you have to start again from scratch. That's a pretty shitty thing to do. So the whole Daily Wire thing with Candace didn't work out so well. With Brett Cooper, it didn't work out so well. My point is this, though. I think a lot of people, when those things didn't work out so well, maybe had an inclination to feel sorry for Candace or to feel sorry for Brett Cooper. It's so too bad for them. They had all this support. They had access to all this money. Now they're out on their own. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. Whoa. Is them, isn't it too bad? Now, of course, both of them are going to be fine, and they always were, but I think maybe a lot of people thought that the parting of the ways was too bad. What I want people to understand is Candace Owens and Brett Cooper won. Getting fired by the Daily Wire is probably the best thing that ever could have happened to Candace Owens and Brett Cooper. And the reason I bring this up is just because I think sometimes things happen in our lives that we perceive as bad, or we think, oh, my career is over, my life is over. And sometimes those things can actually turn out to be the very best thing that could have possibly happened. That's true not only when you're on the internet, that's just true of everyone in normal life. And so I just want to encourage people, if you're ever going through something and you're like, why is this happening? This really sucks. Why am I being tested like this? Just know that in the long term, you will probably understand why you were put in that position. And it's almost always going to work out in your favor as long as you allow it to.
To rescue it. That money has not been reimbursed and it is all gone. The Pendragon cycle is over budget by like $50 million or something, allegedly. And at the end of 2024, this problem got so bad that Jeremy Boring apparently started lying to the press to try to drum up interest for a sale. This is when conveniently it leaked that Fox News was considering buying the Daily Wire. That was never in the works. That was just to try to drum up interest so that hopefully someone else would rescue their asses. I've heard that the Murdochs actually personally hate Jeremy Boring, allegedly.
Yeah, bro, you got to get your organizations right because you're talking about the Blaze. The Blaze and the Daily Wire are not the same thing.
Just like pretty much everyone else. Like even Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, sounds like there's a huge rift between them from what I'm hearing. There's even rumors that I can't confirm quite yet that Ben Shapiro hired his own PR person like months ago. Brett Cooper was basically like their last profitable endeavor right now. I assume they make a little bit off Matt Walsh, but I'm not quite sure and I can't confirm. Their election coverage during the 2024 election absolutely bombed. Sounds like just like most Daily Wire products, they dropped a shitload of money into production and did not nearly recoup the costs. So then you remember when Tim Pool was like kind of like rearranging his business and all sorts of weird stuff was happening there? I don't even know if Tim knows this yet directly, but it sounds like the Daily Wire was trying to manipulate him into buying the Daily Wire and trying to present it as super profitable. The rumors I'm hearing is that Jeremy Boring thought Tim Pool would be dumb enough to fall for it, and he was the exact kind of guy they could sell to. I heard that they allegedly offered him an...
Holy shit, are you serious? I'm sorry, again?
Profitable. The rumors I'm hearing is that Jeremy Boring thought Tim Pool would be dumb enough to fall for it, and he was the exact kind of guy they could sell to. I heard that they allegedly offered him an all-stock deal, which would be worth fucking shit because their stock is fucking worthless because they're bankrupt, allegedly. So props Tim for not taking that deal. That would have been a huge mistake. Because now my sources told me like a month or two ago that the Daily Wire froze all the credit cards of all the Daily Wire producers. And they were like pretending it was a new accounting system trying to cover up what was going on, allegedly. But it sounds like apparently that Jeremy Boring's entire net worth is a smokescreen and that he's trying to renegotiate contracts with people like the Petersons to try to leech as much money out as he can to just keep the books looking balanced. It sounds like Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson, their whole team has been really weirded out by this and is not stoked. I haven't talked to them directly, but it doesn't sound like they like him at all. So anyways, rumor is that...
You mean that Jordan and Michaela Peterson should not have sold their soul to the Daily Wire? You don't say. And yeah, actually, you know what? And I was on Crowder's side. I want it noted for the record that I have always and universally been on Steven Crowder's side on this one. I was on Steven Crowder's side from the very beginning. I love that he recorded that phone call with Jeremy Boring. You guys can go back and watch my shows. And Steven Crowder should be taking a victory lap right now because Steven Crowder was 150% right. And everyone who didn't believe him owes him an apology. And everyone who doubted him owes him an apology. And it's just, it is the way it is.
Silver Lake is one of the primary private equity firms coming in looking to buy them up. And Ken, Mike, Egon, Greg, Joe, you might want to do a little more due diligence about the books before you make that purchase. Looks like your last investment, according to Wikipedia, was in 2022. This would not be a good way to come back onto the scene. That is just my opinion based upon what I'm hearing from the inside. Based on the chatter on the, shall we say, wire, it sounds like there's no money in the bank, so to speak, and they're not making profits. There's a difference between revenue and profits, and Jeremy has been doing a lot of finagling over the years to try to make it look really good. And realistically, do we even want the Daily Wire to be saved? Like opinion time? Don't we want to see Matt Walsh break out of the Daily Wire and do his own thing? And Matt, don't you think you'll do way better on your own than with the Daily Wire at this point? Like even Jordan Peterson, who a lot of people's perspectives have changed on over time lately, like even he would get a fresh start if he just got away from this shit mess. This is like enigmatic of the times we're in, where even the alternative media has been bought out by big money and played in the same big studio mindset that is just completely contrary to what the new media revolution is all about. The way Jeremy Boring thought he could just replace Brett Cooper with her producer and act like nothing had ever changed and the same audience would stay there, that is enigmatic of this old way of thinking. That the peasants just want to be entertained and you just put programming on their TV and they're guaranteed to watch it. That is not how it works. People subscribe to stories, they subscribe to people, they subscribe to authenticity, and the Daily Wire is the embodiment of an inauthentic, bad storyline that treats all of its people horribly. And I normally try to avoid breaking stories, but it is literally a colander over there. And there are so many leaks pouring information out of the Daily Wire that I cannot keep this shit out of my inbox if I try. And speaking of inboxes, rumor has it that when the Daily Wire took Brett Cooper's TikTok account, a month or so ago, the rumor is that they were trying to read her DMs because they thought that she had leaked the Brett Cooper story to me directly, despite I had never talked to Brett Cooper at all in my life at that point.
Wow.
That shit made me giggle because that shows just how disconnected Jeremy and his people are from reality. Like, bro, if you treat everyone in your company like absolute trash, they're not going to respect you and they're not going to protect you. And when you wrong them over and over and over again, it's inevitably going to wind up.
Yo, would this be possibly the funniest possible outcome? Could Ye please buy the Daily Wire? Can someone get Nick Fuentes to suggest that to him, please? Like, that would be the absolute most hilarious possible outcome.
On the internet. So let this be a lesson to all of us. The internet is a force that ultimately skews towards authenticity, towards honesty, and towards open discussion. And if your business is modeled on this old way of controlling information, of big money payments, of treating people like property, and of just shitting all over your audience, allegedly, you're not going to last.
Hey.
So anyways.
Hoplite, we have a job for you. You need to go tell Nick. Well, you don't need to do anything. You can do whatever you want. But I think it would be really funny if you told Nick to tell Ye that Ye should buy the Daily Wire, or to start some. Can you guys do your Groiper thing and start some sort of campaign to get Ye to buy the Daily Wire? Just because this is like the funniest possible outcomes. Can you guys you don't even need to tell Nick doesn't even need to be involved. Can you guys just go into Ye's replies and to tell him to go buy the Daily Wire?
Tell me in the comments who you're most excited about seeing no longer at the Daily Wire, going off on their own. For me, it's Matt Walsh, obviously. I dig Matt a lot, and I can't wait to see him break free of this. Let me know in the comments if you think the Daily Wire should get rescued and revamped, or if you think it's time for them to just be done. And Jeremy, I just want to remind us all, yourself included, pride goes before the fall.
Or does Nick have enough money yet to buy the Daily Wire? Because that would actually be talk about your chickens coming home to roost. Can Nick go find some billionaire to suck up to get the money to buy the Daily Wire? Yeah, Ye's been back on Twitter for a minute. All right, so that is Ian Carroll's take on what's going on. Next, let's get into Candace. And we are not watching Candace's live show. We are going back to watch when Candace started talking about this earlier today, because I think she maybe she's not live anymore, but she was live when I started this. So we're going to go back and see what Candace Owens has to say about all this.
You guys, I am having deja vu. It's like I've already been here before. You're not going to believe this. Today is my fire-diversary. You're wondering what a fire-diversary is. It's the anniversary of the day you got fired. So shout out to anyone who's been fired before. But last year on March 18th, I received news that I was no longer employed at the Daily Wire, which did arrive as somewhat of a shock to me. And we're fast forwarding now exactly 1 year later, because ironically,
has Candace ever been happier in her life? I mean, look at her. Like, Candace looks like she's a kid on Christmas morning. Candace looks like she's got this biggest secret that she's been holding in this entire time, and she just can't wait to tell you this secret, and she's just like bursting with joy at how great this secret is.
Forwarding now exactly 1 year later, because ironically, right after my exit was announced a few days later, then the entire Christ is King debacle took place online, courtesy of Andrew Klavan, who did this whole video about my exit and accused me of all sorts of things that we don't need to relitigate because I have moved on, and I am certain so has he. But it was a bit of a Lent surprise to be fired. It was a bit of a Lent surprise to have like the Christ is King thing being branded as something that it most certainly is not. And we're doing that again. We're doing the Christ is King thing again. And this time I can't get fired. Well, I could, I guess my husband could fire me because can't fire me this time. So I'm safe. I am marked safe from being fired at Lent. But there has been a major announcement today, 1 year later, that Jeremy Boring is quote unquote stepping down from his role as the co-CEO of a Daily Wire. Now, before we get into the internet speculation as to what the heck is happening, in case you are not in conservative political land, you're not sure why exactly this is trending, Jeremy Boring was the co-CEO of the Daily Wire, and he was what I would describe as a rare CEO in his decision to be front-facing. And I come from a corporate environment. Like I worked in private equity. Typically, CEOs like to be behind the scenes. They like to be quiet. They give statements to the press when it's necessary. Jeremy Boring was the exact opposite of this, right? He absolutely loves the cameras. He loves to monologue. He writes long tweets. He likes to share his ideas, which, by the way, no shade. It makes sense when you understand his background. He was like a drama kid growing up. He's spoken about this at length. He also named the company after his drama club, Bent Key, as it's called, and he wears the key around his neck because it was like the key to his drama theater. I think, I believe it's the key to his theater that he worked at when he was younger. And he speaks often about how he got involved with the Daily Wire. He was formerly a guy who was trying to make it in Hollywood as an actor. Again, this is all according to him. Didn't work out for him. And then suddenly he becomes the co-CEO of the Daily Wire. And I would say it is a fair assessment that he brought a lot of those Hollywood aspects to him, with him, to the world of politics and media. For better or worse, it is not up for me to judge. But I want to be clear that when I say that he was a front-facing CEO, I mean he was front and center-facing. He did many interviews, he did podcasts, he hosted the Backstage show, and he also felt the need to put his name on the products that were coming out of the Daily Wire. For example, Jeremy's Razors. You guys remember this. Now, to be clear, what was fascinating about this is the backstory. You would have thought it would have been named Michael's Razors because the backstory is Michael Knowles, who is one of the big talent at the Daily Wire, kind of got unceremoniously dropped by Harry's Razors because he came on my show when I was at PragerU and we spoke about the trans issue. And essentially they canceled Michael Knowles and said, we're no longer going to read ads with you. And rather than saying, okay, we're going to have Michael Knowles launch Michael's Razors, in response to this, Jeremy said, we're going to launch a razor company and it's going to be called Jeremy's Razors. Okay.
That's
Another
actually,
example. You remember this?
I didn't realize that was in response to something that happened to Michael Knowles. What a douchebag thing for Jeremy Boring to do. Like, something happens to Michael Knowles and Jeremy Boring literally has to create a product that's all about Jeremy Boring in response to something that happened to Michael Knowles. Wow.
I was at the Daily Wire. There was also Jeremy's Chocolates, another backstory there. And this one I always felt was quite ironic because he was going after Hershey's. And the reason that they were going after Hershey's was because on International Women's Day, Hershey's decided to promote a transgendered woman. So a biological male became the face of International Women's Day. And he was saying that's not right. So we're going to launch Jeremy's Chocolate. Which I was like, okay, but then aren't you doing the same thing? Shouldn't it be Brett Cooper's chocolate? I don't know. The point is that when there was kind of a moment that was building culturally, Jeremy would launch a product and typically his name went on it. And that's what I mean when I say that he was sort of front and center facing. Recently, he was just sort of doing and saying a lot that felt off. And in the public sphere, everyone was commenting on this, just kind of going, okay, I get that you offer a lot of commentary, but something feels in this environment emotionally off. And when I say emotionally off, I would think the fairest way to summarize it would be to say that he was being unnecessarily confrontational with everyone. Like it just felt like, does everything need to be a confrontation? And Brett Cooper, obviously, the backstory of that, she was without a question the breakout star of the Daily Wire. She is just tremendous talent, very young, Gen Z, did something different with the comment section. She kind of announced that she was leaving. It was considered unceremonious because the public wasn't expecting it. This was back in December of last year. And it was heavily rumored at that time amongst YouTubers and internet sleuths that Jeremy then handpicked her best friend and maid of honor. Brett Cooper got married last April. This girl was her maid of honor. Her name is Reagan Conrad. He had handpicked.
And this should also be a lesson to the Reagans of the world. And again, I don't watch this show. I'm way too old for this show. Obviously, I'm 29, but I'm way too old for this shit. Like, but what I will say is, do you know what you don't do? You don't stab your best friend in the back for an opportunity to host an internet show. You don't do that. People don't like that. If you are the maid of honor in someone's wedding and then you go behind that person's back to take acting lessons to act like her so that you can take over her job on her show, like, that's kind of a dickish thing to do. And it might seem like you're getting the biggest opportunity in the world. It might seem like, how could I pass this up? I'm going to be hosting a show on the Daily Wire, and this is a really big opportunity for me. And I'm a 20-something, and I want to make my name in conservative politics, and I want to build my brand in conservative politics. It might seem like an opportunity you can't pass up at the time, but it will always, 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 always come back to bite you in the ass. And I mean, where does Reagan go from here? I don't know. She's always going to be the person who failed miserably at hijacking the job of her former best friend. That is now her brand. That sucks.
This young woman to replace Brett, and the rumors and innuendo online was because she just kind of wanted to get back at Brett. Now, I want to be very clear. That's rumor and innuendo. Neither Jeremy nor Brett confirmed that rumor at all. But what we do know is that Brett Cooper and Reagan did, in fact, stop being friends after this. And what we do know is that Reagan did then take over her position. And what we do know is that Reagan's cousin came out and did a video and at the very least confirmed the rumors that Reagan was supposed to have left the Daily Wire with Brett and then did a 180 and decided to stay because of the money that they offered her, which she said was like, a consistent stream of income. And she felt that that was defensive territory. So that's what we know. We obviously, again, cannot confirm that Jeremy handpicked her to get back at Brett. Now, Reagan taking over the comment section from an objective numerical standard clearly did not go over well with the public. For whatever reason you want to read into that, maybe because they felt that Brett was being backstabbed or that Jeremy did something wrong. The show itself is not doing what Brett's show was doing. Brett's show was averaging from 500,000 to 1 million views per a video. Here is Reagan's channel today. This is just a screenshot that we took 1 hour ago. Okay, so you can see that we are averaging about 20,000 views in 24-hour span, or actually less than that. It's just not the show that it was. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Tons of people have YouTube channels. And to some people that 20,000 in 24 hours actually is a lot. But what happened thereafter was atypical. Jeremy did something that I think any person in a boardroom would describe as ill-advisable, which is when you launch something and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, you just pivot. You pivot the product, or you say it's fine, I don't really care. Maybe you're making money, who knows? But you don't blame the consumer. You don't blame the audience of the Daily Wire for not consuming the content. And that's what he did. And here is a video of that. And this, again, was something that the public flagged as this seems like caged emotion. Take a listen.
What Reagan hasn't done is taking acting classes to be more like Brett Cooper. That is just completely absurd. And it's hurt my feelings a little bit that Brett hasn't done more to defend her friend Reagan. Brett chose to leave the show. It was her idea, her stated desire to leave the show and to leave the company. She had personally recommended Reagan to me. Before she told me she wanted to leave the show, she had personally recommended Reagan to me and told me that if she ever did leave the show, Reagan would be a great person to consider to host it, and that at any rate I should give something to Reagan because she should be on screen talent. And I know that most of these attacks on Reagan are completely unfair. They're completely disingenuous. People aren't really raising these criticisms. They're either helping to craft or buying into a narrative which has been crafted by people who want the Daily Wire to fail and want Reagan to fail in the role. And both will be disappointed because Reagan will not fail in this role. And the Daily Wire will not fail. We continue to grow and we continue to succeed.
Reagan will not fail. The Daily Wire will not fail. It just seemed like he was saying too much. Nobody wanted the Daily Wire to fail. Nobody
Yeah, that's
wanted
actually a
Reagan
really
to
good point.
fail. It's okay
Mhm.
sometimes when something goes out and it's just not the response that you expected or anticipated it was. And that kind of got the rumor mill going. And it was then rumored that the Daily Wire was looking to sell, or rather, I shouldn't say it was rumored, they were not closed off from a sale. That came from Jeremy directly. He gave that to Axios in a statement, and I can show you. Axios reported, quote, between the lines, asked about a deal with Fox. Boring said the company isn't actively looking for a buyer, but we're not closed off to an offer. It's easy, and then this is a quote from Jeremy, it's easy to imagine a strategic partnership with Fox or someone like Fox that could be mutually beneficial. I think that we complement Fox and don't compete with Fox, he added, noting Daily Wire's audience is primarily younger and more coastal urban. So it seemed like, I don't know, how would you read that statement? I read that as, hey, we're kind of looking for someone to maybe show some interest in a strategic partnership. That's exactly what he's
Okay.
explicitly stating.
Okay. Evie in the chat says, I watched Brett Cooper's post and she said she wished her friend well. Why is this a thing? I would like you to do a 1 in the chat if you believe that Brett Cooper wished her friend well and sincerely meant it. I would like you to do a 2 in the chat if you believe that Brett Cooper was just trying to be nice and professional and she wasn't at all happy with the way things turned out. So 1 in the chat if you think that Brett Cooper was completely fine with everything at the Daily Wire and she really did wish her friend well and she wanted her friend to just be super successful. 2 in the chat if Brett Cooper is smart enough to know when to be professional and to keep it above board. Okay, we've got a lot of 2s. There's a lot of 2s in the chat, Evie. There's a lot of 2s in the chat. And so if you have questions about that, I would ask the other people in the chat why they're all doing 2s or 3s, but we don't see a single 1. Maybe people don't know, but we're seeing a lot of 2s and not a single 1.
It seemed to me to be unusual because they had been kind of, or at least while I was at the Daily Wire, painting a vision into the future. We're going to take over Disney, and now it's kind of like, oh, maybe we will partner with Fox, and we're not closed off from a sale, sort of a thing. And this was followed, and this was recently. And what I'm going to show you is literally just the last 2 weeks of Jeremy's tweets. It was just a lot of emotion coming from Jeremy Boring towards people that I would say, generally speaking, don't have a lot of issues with others. Like, these are not people that you expect are going.
Hey, Kelly says, off topic, my hair looks great today. My hair is very 80s right now, and I know it's gratuitously 80s. It was even more 80s before when I really had it, like, I was like messing. I was like, how hairband can my hair get today? I need to dye it red. It's getting way too brown for me. I need to dye it red again. But I appreciate that, Kelly. I'm enjoying my 80s hair. I just want to say about Candace too. Listen, I've been on the record for a long time. I don't trust Candace Owens. I think that Candace Owens is not someone that I would want to be up against. I think Candace Owens is a narcissist. I think she is completely capable of doing some of the most underhanded things. I think that Candace Owens is not always the most intellectually honest person. However, what I'm going to say is this. When Candace Owens is being a bitch towards people I don't like, I don't mind so much that I don't like her. Like, Candace is in her element right now. Like, Candace is a bitch. She is. But you know what? There are some times when she's just totally in her element and she's just like, she's doing this critique of like all of the dirt that she knows about Jeremy Boring in her head, and she's just doing it so masterfully where she's like, I just don't even, I've just been speaking to people about this, and I'm just a, an innocent person on the outside looking in, providing commentary. And it's just like, it's just the most perfect, it's a perfect blend of bitchiness that I'm really just responding very well to. So, I may not like Candace Owens, but I like her. You know what I'm saying?
To have fights picked with them. They're not confrontational people, so to speak. I mean, and people are all going on. Like, why is he being so confrontational? I mean, crafting a message about Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, Jason Whitlock, Ian Carroll, and primarily it was conversations that had ideas that he did not agree with, and his reaction to those conversations didn't seem even with the conversations that were being had. Me going on Theo Vaughn, Ian Carroll going on Joe Rogan, and then this tweet rather that he had about it, describing it as the worst day for Jews that he's ever experienced in his lifetime. I mean, that's a strong statement. Yesterday was a terrible day for American Jews. We're talking about Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, okay? The embrace by so many prominent voices of demented, conspiratorial, anti-Jewish voices is one of the saddest, most alarming events in my lifetime.
Oh my God.
This way lies madness, and worse than madness. That, I think, if you are a person and you watched the conversation between Ian Carroll and Joe Rogan and me and Theo Vaughn, you didn't get that. Like, that wasn't you didn't do that. You didn't put your head down and say, in my life, like, pull it back up. I mean, that's very strong, right? That's the most alarming event in your lifetime. Like, look, I'm only 35. I've had more alarming events in my lifetime. And I'm talking like,
True,
it was alarming to me when I was in kindergarten and we did our first fire drill. That felt like more of an alarming event than what I watched transpire between Ian Carroll and Joe Rogan. They seemed to be having tons of conversation about things that were fun. They were thinking, challenging each other, pushing back and forth. And actually, Ian Carroll.
Really imagine that the most, what was the word that she used? The most alarming event. Really imagine that the most alarming event that you've experienced in your life is someone you don't like went on a podcast. Just think about this for a second. The most alarming event of your life is that someone you don't like went on a podcast and said things you didn't like. And this is the most alarming thing that has ever happened to you. I'm just going to go ahead and say that I think that anyone who finds a podcast to be the most alarming thing that's ever happened to them needs to get some perspective and needs to maybe look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves what they think is important in life, and maybe try to find some direction. Maybe try to find some purpose. Yeah. Jeremy Boring saying that that Ian Carroll's appearance on Joe Rogan was literally worse than the Holocaust? Is that what we're talking about right now? It's a podcast. You don't have to listen to it. If you don't want to listen to it, I never listen to Joe Rogan. No offense to Joe Rogan. I don't have anything against Joe Rogan. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't listen to it. I don't listen to many things. Guess what? Life goes on. And if someone is on Joe Rogan that I don't like, I don't freak out about it on the internet for like a week after. I don't release a press statement saying, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of humanity. I just don't watch it. It's really not that hard.
Fun. They were thinking, challenging each other, pushing back and forth. And actually, Ian Carroll explicitly said, like, this is not about Jews. And I want to make that very clear. Like, we're talking about the state of Israel. Theo Vaughn told me that he gets milk jugs from McDonald's. He's the only person in the world that gets milk jugs from McDonald's. So at a certain point, you start to wonder, okay, is this you're the front-facing CEO. Again, you've branded yourself as that, and you've said 1,000 times, I want to be the front-facing CEO. Well, that means that every tweet that you issue is going to necessarily backlash that's going to be felt by the Daily Wire as a business, because you're saying, I am the face of this company, right? I am literally the face that you can buy shaving cream from. Okay.
Yeah, literally.
And so that was strange. It was just strange. Objectively, it was perceived as strange from the public, I should say. And then he got into a fight with Jason Whitlock, who's like, he just talks about sports all the time. And they announced that they were interested in having, and by they, I mean Ben Shapiro announced that he was launching a petition for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned by President Trump.
Stupid.
And it was met with a flurry of reaction. Some people said this is absolutely not the right time. Most people said it's not the right time for this and it would actually hurt Trump to do this.
Yep.
And then other people who were more measured and just said, like, why would he want to go back to Minnesota prison if he gets pardoned federally? He still has his state. And Jason Whitlock was one of these people who said that this just feels random. Again, he comments on sports. I would say 98% of what he comments on is sports. So he responded to Ben's petition, which, by the way, I agree with Ben that Derek Chauvin was wrongly convicted. Ben knows I agree with him on that. We've spoken about that on Backstage together. I also think it's ill-advised because of the state crime, but whatever, open to a debate. Jason Whitlock writes, what's going on here? This seems out of nowhere from the Daily Wire, given the fact that it's separated from Candace Owens. Now, his reason for saying that is simply because I did the documentary on George Floyd, but I don't own George Floyd or own the documentary. And then he goes on and he says, if Trump took this on right now, it would sabotage and overshadow other agendas.
Yep.
I believe Chauvin was wrongly convicted, but the timing of this campaign seems out of place. Okay, that's fair critique. You could just respond evenly to this. Here is what Jeremy shot back. He wrote back, if Ben Shapiro cured cancer, Jason Whitlock would find something in it to bitch about. Okay. Wow. Okay. Maybe not a fan of Jason Whitlock's sports commentary. Maybe Jason Whitlock is getting it wrong on sports commentary. Jason writes back and he says, seems like an overreaction. Seems like something a LeBron fan would say about me or Stephen A. Smith. Someone refresh my memory. How often do I discuss Shapiro? This seems really overcooked. I'm asking legit questions and Jeremy is lobbing personal attacks. Weird. I'm not allowed to question. And then Jeremy responds to this and he says, you're allowed to do whatever you want, which typically involves being a dick towards us any chance you get. And hashtag just asking questions is a cowardly grift. You want to make an accusation, be a man and make it. Like I'm like, okay, this is like, fight me outside.
Wow.
Let's fight right now. You're like, whoa, I feel like this is something else could be going on because this can't be about me saying this is not the best timing with Trump. And it just felt very aggressive. It was perceived as aggressive. Jason Whitlock then went on his show and said, I don't know what this is. This is a total overreaction to what I've said. And again, this was being debated in public. Even Matt Walsh said, here's what I think. I responded to him and I said, I don't think this is a good idea because of his state. Like he would have to go back to Minnesota and be in a tiny cell, which his mother hated. I don't know why that couldn't be the level of respect that was being given back to Jason Whitlock. Again, someone who majority just comments on sports and then wades in politically on a variety of topics. So we were seeing this and then he got into it and started saying that Jason Whitlock, who has been someone who has condemned Andrew Tate over and over and over and over again, started saying that he backs Andrew Tate. And that is just objectively not true. It's objectively not true to say that about Jason Whitlock. So it was a lot. And then on top of that, by the way, I'm showing you, this is just in the last like 10 days. This is just like a 10-day purview of Jeremy's tweets. He then wades into the Crisis King non-debacle because no one was talking about Crisis King this year. And then people woke up one day and chose violence. I don't know. There's something about Lent. There is something, 'tis the season, something about Christ, and people just get going, and Jeremy just weighed in on this in a long tweet. He wrote this.
I love how Candace is like, she's savoring this. It's like Candace is like sipping on a fine wine right now, and you can just see like the little smirk. This is like, I don't trust Candace Owens. I think she's a narcissist, but you can tell because she's so fucking excited about doing this. She's just like really getting off on it and letting herself on camera. It's compelling. It makes it better to watch.
I'm not going to read the whole thing, honestly, but you get the point. There's no effort on the American right to prevent Christians from declaring the truth that Christ is king. There's an important effort to encourage Christians to be discerning about the motives of some malefactors who would exploit the language of faith in order to foster evil. There is a reason Jesus Christ the King says that not everyone who calls him Lord will be saved. There is a reason an entire commandment warns against carrying his name in vain. anyone who says Christ is king because they believe Jesus of Nazareth, it's just a lot. And again, I would maybe just stay out of it. I would just maybe stay out of it if it was me. And I am not the CEO of my company. My husband is, but he just kind of stays out of things and doesn't tweet. And I think there's a reason for that, because everyone will begin to see your company through that lens, through the lens of your ideas. And then there was a lot of tweets aimed at Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is extremely well liked.
Yeah, that's
a lot
crazy.
of tweets insinuating that Tucker Carlson is platforming people who are anti-Semitic. Tucker Carlson this, Tucker Carlson that. And then he tweeted this in the last 48 hours. I predicted in January of 2024 that Tucker would conclude that America was the bad guy in World War II.
Well,
I'm not a
literally
prophet.
teamed up with
It's just been
communists,
clear
so.
for a long time where this was going. And actually, if you watch the clip, Tucker says no such thing. And so it just becomes a question of whether or not someone has read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because I don't think that this was influencing people in a way that made them go, I want to sign up for the Daily Wire right now. That's the question. This is great. This feels great. I'm going to go sign up for the Daily Wire right now. And so we were all kind of going, we don't know what's going on, but something is clearly going on, because it's just a lot to happen in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then today in Axios, it was reported exclusive, Daily Wire co-CEO Jeremy Boring to step down. Language here says Jeremy Boring, co-founder of the Daily Wire, is stepping down from his role as co-CEO to focus on creative projects for the company. He told staff in a memo obtained by Axios on Tuesday. Caleb Robinson, the company's founding CEO, will become the company's full-time CEO effective immediately. Robinson and Boring have been co-CEOs since 2019. In a note to staff, Boring said that he will remain with the company in an advisory role. He will continue to host Daily Wire Backstage, the company's monthly show featuring Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Andrew Klavan. He will focus full-time on creative projects, including the completion of Daily Wire's TV series, The Pendragon Cycle, in which he serves as director and executive producer. Okay, now, don't know how everybody else feels about that announcement. A couple of things that immediately jumped out to me about the statement is that it does feel like you're trying to smooth things over without giving people very many facts, okay? It is completely unusual for a CEO of a company to step down, and there have been no reason for that step down. Least of all, if it's going to be because you're going to be involved more creatively, then what's your new title?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was
Good
looking for in the
point,
announcement. Like, if this
Candace.
was like a sincere need him to focus on creative projects, I was waiting for, he will now assume the role of our chief creative director. That is a role.
Yep.
Of our creative director, of the president of the creative team. There's none of that. It just says he's going to advise. And what is he advising on? Well, they say like the Pendragon Cycle. Well, to be clear, the Pendragon Cycle is a series that was shot as a passion of Jeremy's. It was, I think, he announced that it was the book that held the most meaning to him because of one thing or another. I can't remember. And so they jumped into this project, but that movie was supposed to be released last year. So that movie part in that series is already a year late from being released, which would make me think that that release is imminent. So to say that he's going to work on something that should have been done a year ago, and he's going to do that in an advisory capacity, does not actually sound, to me at least, and we're obviously awaiting more information, and I'll say this to the team right now, if more is coming out, please let me know. Obviously, we are live here. That doesn't sound like he is being rotated within the company. That sounds like this is a nice landing pad for us to say, like, he's going to be involved creatively as an advisor. What's his title? What is his title? You go from CEO to what? Chief what? President of what? Advisor? Seems vague, right? And why isn't that statement accompanied by a statement from the new CEO? Like, that's in Axios.
Yeah.
And
Good question.
It makes me wonder, like, does Jeremy have a PR team that worked on getting that placed? And what's interesting is I was
Probably.
awaiting kind of Ben's statement. These two are best friends, refreshing to see what Ben had to say about this on his X feed. He has said nothing across his social media channels. That strikes me as odd. That's a very loud silence. And rather, he went very corporate. He gave a statement, which is exactly the sort of a statement that I would have had expected him to give. to the Daily Wire on the Daily Wire website. This is where you can actually find a statement from Ben Shapiro and Caleb Robinson. Now, of course, Ben Shapiro is not becoming the CEO, but he is very much considered the face of the Daily Wire. And so it would have been incumbent upon him to say something. And he handled that in an extraordinarily professional manner. That's what I want to point out. This is a corporate, proper announcement, which he should do. I want to be clear. This is exactly what Ben should do. And this is the way it should happen. And these things shouldn't happen on Twitter. But again, for your best friend, and many times that Jeremy has said, I'm his only friend, it feels like there's something more than that's meeting the eye, right? So here is a statement from Ben Shapiro. Again, can be found on the Daily Wire website. Jeremy's hard work and brilliant leadership have been indispensable to the growth of this company from an idea to the largest conservative digital media company in the country, said Shapiro. Jeremy is a tremendous talent, and we're thrilled to get even more of his creative focus.
There is no way in this universe that Ben Shapiro actually wrote that quote. Everyone understands this, right? Anytime you have a press release or a press statement, the people that are quoted in these things don't actually write the quotes. What happens is a PR person writes the quotes, and then they send them to the people for approval to say, are you okay if we said you said this? And then they go, yup. And then the quote goes in the thing. There is no way in hell that came from Ben Shapiro.
Focus in the business as we head into the next phase of expansion. We can't wait to see what he does next. Whoa, that's quite the last sentence there. We can't wait to see what he does next. Pull it back up again. I just want to show what we're not hearing, right? He's a tremendous talent. We're thrilled to get even more of his creative focus in the business. In what capacity? As we head into the next phase of expansion, what has he become now that he is not the CEO? And then you say, we can't wait to see what he does next. Again, this feels like we're moving on. That's what it feels like to me, and I could be wrong. And of course, we will update this if suddenly they're like, he is going to be the chief, but you get a title or you don't. And I'm not hearing a title here. We also have a statement from Caleb Robinson, which is to be expected because the new CEO, and he's the co-CEO, but now he is absorbing all the power as the executive here. And he has given this statement. He says, we couldn't be more excited for this next phase of the Daily Wire's growth and for Jeremy as he pursues the completion of Pendragon, okay, which should have been completed a year ago, or I guess they missed the deadline, and then moves on to work with us on further important creative endeavors that we have in the works.
Like what?
Said Robinson. Okay, in what capacity? Jeremy's creative contributions over the last decade have helped.
Wait. I know we're all shocked that we're not getting the JFK files today. Breaking news. Pam Bondi strikes again. No JFK files, no Epstein files, no JFK files. Remember, guys, we could have had Matt Gaetz. We could have had Matt Gaetz' confirmation hearing. We could have had Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. But no. We ended up with Pam Bondi, who apparently doesn't want to release any of the damn documents.
Shape the face of podcasting and digital media with Pendragon on the horizon. The best is yet to come. Now, neither of them are saying that he's going to be hosting backstage. So that's interesting. That just came from Axios and came from Jeremy. They're kind of saying he's working on Pendragon. That's got to be near completion. Again, like I said, and then we're getting nothing. He's going to kind of help with creative stuff and if you put together Jeremy's statement as an advice.
Are you serious? You're completely fine with Pam Bondi basically being an establishment hack because she's hot AF, bro. Are you a serious person? There is a minimum IQ requirement of 100 to be in my audience. Do you meet that? Seriously? She's so hot, bro. Okay.
So am I reading this wrong, or does this feel like, we don't know, but we know, ladies. We don't know, but we know. And soon we're going to know, because I think what's going to happen now is that more stuff is going to come out about the Daily Wire. So now just turning to some reactions. Obviously, we're doing the show live.
Right.
We have, first and foremost, obviously, everyone was looking to see what Brett Cooper would say.
Oh, yeah, let's look at reactions.
Largely felt like she remained silent on her exit, maybe because she had to remain silent on her exit. We don't know. But she tweeted this in response to the news, a gif of Jimmy Fallon
hilarious.
kind of looking like he wants to burst out laughing and then just sort of nodding. And I think that probably says it all. She followed that up with this, which says a lot. She says, genuinely excited to see where Ben and Caleb take the company next. So she, if we're reading that correctly, is thinking that this was a good move for the company. We have not yet had a tweet. And you guys, can you live check from Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles? They have not said anything about the news. Jason Whitlock has come out and he has said this. As a joke, my understanding is Jeremy will focus full-time on smearing me, Tucker Carlson, and anyone else who disagrees with the God King. God King, by the way, is what Jeremy calls himself. He calls himself the lowercase God King. So, yeah, it seems like he will not be missed by Jason Whitlock. Then we have people who are starting to put pieces together. Now, these are swirling rumors that are coming from various reporters and people that are, like me, just trying to read what's possibly going on. First up, let's go to the Quartering, who has been covering a lot about Brett's exit.
No. We're not watching the Quartering on this channel. Like I said, we have 100 IQ require. That's a bad freeze frame for Candace. We're not going to do for Candace dirty like that. Okay, that's much better. We're not watching the Quartering on this channel. We have a minimum IQ requirement of 100 to be in the audience on this channel. The Quartering doesn't even come close to meeting the IQ requirement. So we're going to move on. That's the what's going on with Jeremy Boring and being ousted from the Daily Wire. I appreciated Candace's coverage. I appreciated Ian Carroll's comments. Now I want to move on because the classical liberals are crying. And, you know, it's not unrelated to Jeremy Boring and the Daily Wire because, of course, why are all the classical liberals crying? The classical liberals are crying because they are Zionist shills. And when I say the classical liberals, I mean people like James Lindsay, obviously, classical liberal, atheist. Colin Wright, classical liberal atheist. Konstantin Kisin, classical liberal, I'm pretty sure he's an atheist. And then this guy has been hanging around with the classical liberals, the anti-woke liberals, the people who are always like, you know, how dare you even look at a picture of Hitler? If you watch that BitChute video, you are an anti-Semite. Like all these people who are crying all the time about anti-Semitism. They got their panties in a twist. They don't even realize that they're acting like a woke cancel mob because they have no self-awareness at all. And this guy, the misfit patriot, has just been... I'm almost starting to feel bad for this guy because he's so dumb. He's so dumb. He is so dumb. And basically his entire persona just seems to be that he says cringe, boomer, Zionist things. And then people attack him in the replies. And then he's like, look, you're only mad because I was right about you. So he released a video today. And I only watched part of it. But I watched enough to know that he was having a good cry. And I thought that we could all watch this together as a little preview for what we're going to do next with the rest of the stream. And he said, I don't usually get emotional. But this is one of those rare times I'm very fucking emotional. I'm ready to go to war with my own party over this shit. And it's time more people join me. If you're an enemy of Zionists, you're an enemy of mine. If you hate them, you hate me. I'll hate you right back. I don't give a fuck who you voted for. Let's watch. This is your classical liberal Zionist male.
Because I read the book.
Go back to the beginning.
Okay, I've made several videos like this over the past year and a half, so let's do another one. If you're anti-Zionist, you can go fuck yourself.
Oh!
Yeah, that's right. If you say, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm not anti-Jew, I'm anti-Zionist, eat every dick until the end of time and then eat some more in hell. Because guess what? I'm a Zionist.
Oh, are you?
I
honey?
believe that the
Are
Jews
you?
have a right to live in peace in their ancestral homeland. And that's what Zionism is. So when you say I'm anti-Zionist, you say I'm anti-misfit. And if you're anti-misfit, get fucked. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an American patriot and Christian Zionist, and yes, you can be both. Because I
Ooh.
read the Bible,
Oh yeah.
and
You
I
know
love
how
my
to read?
country. See, I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat this one bit. If we are friends, if we have mutuals, if we voted the same way, if you consider yourself on the same side, if you're MAGA, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter to me. You're a huge piece of shit, and you can get fucked. You see, I'm not down with it.
How is this any different than when leftists with Trump derangement syndrome melted down in 2016 when their relatives voted for Trump, or when someone wore a red MAGA hat, or when the day Trump got inaugurated, they were shouting at the sky? How is this any different? You can't sit with us. If you don't have the opinion I have, then you can't sit with us and you are a horrible person. It's no different. These people have no self-awareness. Yeah, leave Zionists alone. Definitely has that vibe. Thanks, Rottweiler.
With espousing the ideals of Adolf Hitler. I'm sorry, I'm not. And if you don't think that that's what you're doing, you're fucking retarded. Because
Okay.
yes, you are. 95% of fucking Jews are Zionists. If you hate 95% of anything, you hate that thing. There are 16 million fucking Jews out there. And let's say 800,000 of them agree with you. You might as well be saying, I'm not racist. I got a black friend. You're a fucking moron. Do you realize that the people that you are aligning with, you make excuses for the innocent Palestinians and the evil Zionists that are creating a fucking genocide, even though you guys don't ever fucking talk about another fucking genocide ever! You care more about the USS Liberty, a friendly fire incident in the fucking, 60-something fucking years ago? No, that's more important than the fucking Christians being slaughtered in the Congo by radical Islamic terrorists. Over 67,000 terrorist attacks under the fucking name of Islam in the past 50 years. And you guys think that the 0.2% of the fucking population is the problem. Again, you're fucking retarded. And if you hate me because I'm a Zionist, I'll hate you right back, motherfucker. This is the fucking hill I will die on. I will fight for them, and I will fight you for them, because nobody else will. They don't have anybody else. They got me, motherfucker, and I'm a fucking enemy you don't want.
Holy shit. This guy thinks he's the defender of all the Jews in the world. Holy shit. Oh my god. Can we watch that again? Like I said, I didn't watch this whole video this morning. I only watched part of it. I didn't realize how good it was going to get. Can we watch that again? That was great.
Okay, I've made several videos like this over the past year and a half, so let's do another one. If you're anti-Zionist, you can go fuck yourself.
That's true. He needs a nap.
That's right. If you say, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm not anti-Jew, I'm anti-Zionist, eat every dick until the end of time and then eat some more in hell. Because guess what? I'm a Zionist. I believe that the Jews have a right to live in peace in their ancestral homeland. And that's what Zionism is. So when you say I'm anti-Zionist, you say I'm anti-misfit. And if you're anti-misfit, get fucked. Yeah. I'm an American patriot and Christian Zionist, and yes, you can be both. Because I read the Bible, and I love my country. See, I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat this one bit. If we are friends, if we have mutuals, if we voted the same way, if you consider yourself on the same side, if you're MAGA, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter to me. You're a huge piece of shit, and you can get fucked. You see, I'm not down with espousing the ideals of Adolf Hitler. I'm sorry, I'm not. And if you don't think that that's what you're doing, you're fucking retarded.
This is like a throwback. Like, is this like performance art? Is this guy seriously trying to do the Zionist version of like the anti-racist declarations that happened in like 2019? This is what happened in the knitting community in 2019, where all of a sudden people were making videos like apologizing for their inherent racism and calling everyone out if they wouldn't apologize for their inherent racism. It's exactly the same thing. And it's like, I don't know how these people have no self-awareness to understand they are literally doing exactly what the left did between 2016 and 2020. It is precisely the same on every single level. Wait, what? What are you talking about? This guy's being charged with assault and battery on a senior right now? Seriously? Well, that would explain a lot. And his profile was found on Grindr. Oh, I know we're all shocked at that revelation. Didn't he also kick Bryson Gray in the nuts at like a conservative event or something? I wonder if he charges by the hour, by the video or hour. Yeah, exactly, Nick. Thank you.
You are. 95% of fucking Jews are Zionists. If you hate 95% of anything, you hate that thing. There are 16 million fucking Jews out there, and let's say 800,000 of them agree with you. You might as well be saying, I'm not racist. I got a black friend. You're a fucking moron. Do you realize that
needs a
the
juice
people
box.
that you are aligning with, you make excuses for the
Kosher,
innocent
of course.
Palestinians and the evil Zionists that are creating a fucking genocide, even though you guys don't ever fucking talk about another fucking genocide ever! You care more about the USS Liberty, a friendly fire incident in the fucking, 60-something fucking years ago? No, that's more important than the fucking Christians being slaughtered in the Congo by radical Islamic terrorists. Over 67,000 terrorist attacks under the fucking name of Islam in the past 50 years. And you guys think that the 2% of the fucking population is the problem. Again, you're fucking retarded. And if you hate me because I'm a Zionist, I'll hate you right back, motherfucker. This is the fucking hill I will die on. I will fight for them, and I will fight you for them, because nobody else will. They don't have anybody else. They got me, motherfucker, and I'm a fucking enemy you don't want.
Okay, we're all terrified of you, bro. We're all real terrified. Well, I just, I don't know. Maybe has he said anything else? Has he posted any other videos? Because this guy is a guy you follow for constant entertainment value. Oh my god, it's so cringe. What else has he got? Oh, Beardson. He's fighting with Beardson. Yo, Beardson! I love Beardson. Beardson and I haven't always gotten along, but we're getting along now. And I have to say, I don't know if I've actually said this on my stream. I've said this to Beardson. I've said it on Twitter. I love Beardson's rise on Twitter so much. I love how Beardson one day only had 10,000 followers. He had a lot of followers. That's a lot of followers for most people. But then Beardson just started insulting women. And he got massively popular really quickly. He got over 100,000 followers in a couple days just by insulting women. And I just have to say, I feel like it was just a feel-good story. Beardson was literally just being himself. And he got overnight famous for it. And it's not even his picture in the profile, but it's emblematic. And it's just you know what, W. Beardson. You can't be mad at it. Holy smokes, that guy sounds like Ethan Ralph. Oh, why do you make me think of Ethan Ralph? Why would you do this to me? Why would anyone do this to me? Thank you, Rottweiler. Appreciate it. Let's see. What did Beardson say? Does every boomer have to film videos in their truck because their wives won't let them do it in the house? Yeah, probably true, Beardson. Probably true. And then he actually did a message responding to Beardson. Hang on. What did he say?
Does every boomer have to film videos in their truck because their wives won't let them do it in the house? Hey, bro, this you?
Yeah, it looked kind of bad, I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. It did look
Look
bad.
at Beardson's
I'm not a Nazi,
mustache.
man. Like, if this is what it's gonna be, like, I'm not gonna... You should get the fuck out of my house. I'm not in your house. Yeah, well, you can leave, because I don't want... This interview's done.
Does every
Beardson
Nazi
W?
do an interview outside their house because their mom won't let them do it inside, or is it just you? By the way, now I'm outside of my truck. You guys better.
How about you go back to the UK and sit on the fucking dick and spin? How about that? Fuck yourself.
You know, you shouldn't insult boomers like me. We're the ones that take your mother out for a nice dinner at Red Lobster, pay for everything, and throw her a couple extra bucks for the electric bill so she can keep you in her basement talking shit online about the Jews.
That's all?
Does every boomer have to film video?
That's it. That's all this guy has. Okay, Beardson W. I don't think that interview that he showed at Beardson's was actually as bad as people say it is. I thought Beardson's mustache looked pretty great, actually. It was funny he was wearing the shirt. Let's see. No, he's just crying on the internet, getting all sorts of views. All right, well, I guess it's time to move into our main show for the day then, which may not, like, be, you know, this is kind of a niche thing. If people are here for Candace Owens and, like, the more famous people, we're done that part now, but I do have my constant and perpetual rivalry with Keri Smith. If people don't know the backstory of this, you can go to survivingkerismith.substack.com and see documentation of the years-long harassment campaign that Keri Smith targeted me with because she's a psycho that convinced herself that I was her abusive mother. Anyway, we're not going to go into all that right now, but Keri is a good anti-woke classical liberal activist. Keri is one of the people who has been whining online about the woke right, the woke right, the woke right. There's anti-Semitism everywhere. Keri has denounced anti-Semitism on more than one occasion. She's making sure that everyone knows that she opposes everyone who might not agree with her on every single thing. And now Keri is talking about how saying Christ is king is anti-Semitic. And this is a show that aired yesterday, and Stony Baloney, or social media comment section, told us that it was really boring and really dumb and really stupid. And so I just thought we would check in on it for a minute, just because I know Keri won't like it that I'm watching her on stream, and there's nothing she can do about it. And her and James Lindsay and Deb Philman are trying to get my channel banned for watching them on stream, and they're saying that I'm a fed because YouTube won't ban me for watching their content on the stream. So you know what I say to that? We're gonna watch more of your fucking content, bitch. Keri is the most boring person alive. What is this Lydia thing? Hang on. What did you just send me? Hang on, Stony Baloney just sent something. I'm looking at it. I'm taking a minute to load. Oh, hang on. Okay, I got it. Let's do the update about Misfit Patriot that Stony Baloney is sending through right now. Hang on, I just gotta get this in the right browser. Apologies for the delay. Mount the like button while you're waiting, please. Yes. Leave YouTube. Oh, it was Growler, not Grinder. Okay, well, that's important. Okay, let's see. This is from Linda Catalina. New. Zachary, known as Misfit Patriot, was charged with felony for assault and battery on a person aged 60 or older with a disabled individual. Zach is a cocaine addict and sick individual who looks for trouble everywhere he goes. Did Zach beat up his elderly mom and dad and then ask for money from the internet? Oh, Isn't that nice? Oh, is that what he looks like without a beard? Wow. Okay, so that's something. What's this one about? Oh. The image I posted of Zach is not from Grindr, but from a website called Growler, which is used by homosexual, fat, hairy men to meet up. They call themselves bears. I fear he will never recover from this. Oh, yeah, well, okay. 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 All right. Thank you. Thank you for that update. I will have that in my head for the rest of the night now, and it's all your fault. And I might need to go and watch like the Human Centipede or something in order to get that image out of my head. And it's not fair, and you guys put me in this position, and it's not fair. So let's go and watch Keri. As a reminder, guys, I stream at 5 p.m. every day. Most days we cover the radical revolutionary far left. We might be watching another Judith Butler lecture tomorrow. I found another. Judith Butler is like making the rounds. So I did find another Judith Butler lecture that I put in the group chat if people want to give me some feedback on that. No. Don't bring that. Don't put that evil on me. I am not watching Sallow. That's not happening. All right. We are watching Keri Smith complain about the woke right, and we're going to laugh at her and make fun of her. All appropriately, of course. No targeted harassment here. Let's see. Let's go back.
Ashes and say, see, we were right. You know, like all their crazy boogeymen that they tried to create, and they try to call out Trump supporters Nazis, and they try to call everyone on the right, you know, fascists and all this stuff, and white supremacists, and they lie and they lie and they lie, and they took the meaning out of those words. And now you have some people who actually are those things who are starting to crop up. And it's almost like
Keri, who used to be a social justice warrior, is like, I'm surrounded by Nazis. No! Oh, the irony. Well, yesterday, you know, you have to forgive Keri for looking like a leprechaun. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so I guess there was a reason she looked like a leprechaun. That's fine.
What left can point to these fringe characters and say, see, and not all of them are fringe. Some of them have very large influential platforms.
Some of them have bigger followings than you, Keri.
We're going to talk a little bit about it today, and
like,
specifically about the brouhaha, the blow up, the debate that's been raging on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And there's been a debate raging there, same debate as last year, and it's about the phenomenon of some of these woke right characters, these nefarious characters, trying to subvert and pervert the meaning of Christ is King. And I think part of the reason they're doing that is to make people afraid to proclaim it, which some people now are. And as a believer, you shouldn't be afraid to proclaim it. You should just be discerning about why and when and how people are using it. And if they're using it with sincerity, or if they're trying to take the Lord's name in vain, which is one of the worst things they could do.
By the way, as a reminder, if you are unfamiliar with Keri, Keri became a Christian like 5 minutes ago. Keri joined a Christian cult church. And I'm not saying that Christianity is a cult. There are many Christians who I would not say are in a cult. I'm saying the church that Keri joined is a cult. The very specific church that she joined. And the reason I say that is that Keri once posted on Twitter, and I had to see this because I was documenting all her harassment of me, but Keri once posted on Twitter that if you did not obey the elders in her church or something, you would get excommunicated from the church for not obeying the elders. No, it's a Christian church. But it's like, they don't really seem to be part of like any denomination. Keri is a little bit obsessed with the pastor of her church. It's kind of weird. And so I'm not saying all Christianity is a cult. I'm saying Keri very specifically joined a cult. and she became a Christian like 5 minutes ago, and now she thinks she can tell all other Christians what to do and how to live their lives.
So that's what we're talking about today. And we're going to look at some examples for those of you. I know there are also some skeptics who are like, this isn't really a thing.
So weird to
or
watch
it's,
Keri after
maybe
so
it's
long.
not how it's,
Man, it
you're
feels
just
like a
taking
former life I had to deal with
one
this
thing out of
bitch.
context. No, it's getting to be pretty frequent. I can't even log into X without seeing all this anti-Jewish crap
Everyone
lately, this
hates
Hitler
Jews.
idolizing crap. And I never used to see this on the right.
Because you didn't look for
As
it.
it's only been the last year that it's been growing.
No,
So,
not really right, Keri, but okay.
I'd like for us to nip it in the bud. So
We have
it
to
doesn't do to the right what woke ideology.
See, this is the talking point among the classical liberals right now. The classical liberals feel it is their job to dictate what ideas people can consider and what content they can watch. And they're very literally running around on Twitter saying, we can't allow these people to be in our movement. We can't, if you believe this, then you are not allowed to be here. You cannot sit with us. And it's not just people like Keri. This is James Lindsay saying this, Konstantin Kisin saying this, Douglas Murray saying this. I've seen Dave Rubin say shit like this. Like all of the classical liberal, anti-woke, pro-Zionist set are like, we are the ones that get to choose who you listen to, and we're the ones that get to decide what the Overton window is. And if you don't agree with us, then you're the woke one. Oh, really? Okay.
G did to the left, which is to split everyone apart and drive a wedge into brainwash a bunch of people into some unhealthy, evil, non-conservative ideology, non-Christian
She's a
ideology.
liberal. She's not a conservative.
I think the right is a little bit more discerning than the left. Current day.
You're not on the right, Keri. You're a liberal.
I hope that's true. That's what I would like to see happen. Okay. That's what we're talking about today. I just wanted to say hello. But hey, what's up? All Things Theology's here. Hey, K-Dubs. Chris is here. Good to see you. Just taking a look through the chat. I see some familiar faces. I see some mods here. Hey, Therese. She says, I'm all in on the Guinness. Oh, let me show you what I have. I have for the sober folks like me, my husband and I have been sober now 5.5 years, 5 years and some change. Praise God.
Yes, Keri, praise God.
Praise God. Amen.
Oh, shit.
Never thought that I would be able to say that. Anyway, if you're on the sober wagon, like me.
Why isn't it allowing me to skip forward? There it goes. Okay.
Like today.
I don't care what you're drinking, Keri. Sorry.
Hey, Theology Mom. She says, I appreciate you speaking out on these issues.
Keri only talks to old women.
Thank you.
Apparently. Okay.
Saying at the time to sort of say, you shouldn't be focusing on this social justice ideology, and it's never going to have major powerful influence or be the ruin of anything, and it was.
Keri is saying the reason she's calling out all the Jew haters is because back when Keri was a social justice warrior, that she didn't really think their social justice ideology was that big of a deal, and so she just didn't think it was gonna be that big of a problem, and then it turned into a really big problem, and so she just doesn't want to see Nazis take over the right in the same way that the social justice warriors took over the left.
For a few years, and it was the ruin not just of the Democratic Party, but of our country. Almost the ruin of our country, taking us down this deleterious path. Because of that ideology going unchecked. So
she's like a preacher.
I'm not going to sit idly by and watch what appears to be something similar happening on the right. Some bad.
You're not on the right,
ideology,
Keri, you're a liberal.
Coming in and trying to corrupt a movement and trying to corrupt people individually and steal their heart.
Let's be very clear about this. It is the classical liberals that are corrupting the right. Throughout my entire journey, my entire political journey, I never once claimed to be a classical liberal. And I always had a bad feeling about it, and I never wanted to be associated with it. And all of my suspicions about who the classical liberals always were have been confirmed in the last 6 months maybe in a little bit longer than that, because these people are like, they're like a fucking parasite. Classical liberals are like parasites, where they tried to worm their way into the Democratic Party. They got defeated because they weren't as extreme as the radical revolutionary far left, and they couldn't compete with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. And so the classical liberals are like these intellectuals who wanted to be listened to and could never hear their voices heard on this side. And so now the classical liberals are trying to worm their way into ruling the GOP and the Republican Party. And it's all because they didn't get the validation they were looking for over here, because they think they're the smartest people in the room when they're not. And so they came over here and they're like, oh, all these silly conservatives, oh, we can take over the GOP. We can take over the Republican Party. We can tell them what to think. Now, I was never trying to be a part of the Republican Party. I was just kind of like, this person. I was like, wow, these people aren't the people who I thought they were. My wake-up experience was genuine. What I have found over and over and over again with classical liberals is it's not that they're waking up to the fact that their ideas are bad. I have woken up to the fact that a lot of my ideas were bad. My political compass has almost shifted completely from 2019 to today. Because I actually went through a process of development. I actually went through a process of evolution where I reverse engineered every single thing I thought I was true. And I found out, hey, a lot of my ideas were wrong. And I think I have the right ideas now. I've also looked into it a lot more now. There's a lot of reasons for that. But Keri never went through that process. And people like James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin and Colin Wright and all these other classical liberal douchebags have literally never gone through this process of really reverse engineering all their bad ideas and trying to figure out what the truth is. They were liberals then. They are liberals now. They never changed their idea. You can even see the memes about this. The memes about this are, oh, I was on the left and then I just stayed in the same place and the left moved over here and so I became on the right. They never left the left, guys. They were always liberals. And so they're trying to take over the Republican Party and the GOP and kick everyone out who is actually a conservative. So they're the parasites. They're the ones people need to watch out for. They're the ones that are trying to control what you can say and what you can believe and what ideas you can consider and what pictures you can look at on the internet and whether or not you can watch that BitChute video. Whether or not you can talk to someone on their podcast that they don't like. They are literally trying to cancel everyone and their mother for talking to Ian Carroll. Or for talking to Martyr Maid or Tucker Carlson. They're going after Tucker Carlson now. This is not coming from the far left. The far left doesn't give a flying flip about any of these people. This is coming from the classical liberals who tried to take over the GOP. Tip for the jar. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, James is saying the Daily Wire is under attack by the woke right because Nick tweeted about Matt Walsh. Yep. Yep, that is the level of hinged into reality that the classical liberals are known for.
Hearts and souls, and I'm not going to just sit by while that happens. If I see something happening that I think is bad or we should be concerned about, I'm going to talk about it. So that's what we're doing. Theology Mom, it is getting alarming. I've been doing lots of teaching about it. And yes, there are parallels. There are some parallels to the woke left. There are, Theology Mom. And also you can talk about, I just had this happen to me on X, which is interesting because this is the woke used to do this all the time. I had someone say, oh, you're equating these two things. You're equating them. It's like, usually when people say that, when you're trying to draw comparisons or look at similarities or contrast things, or usually when they say that, they're trying to get you to stop thinking about it or talking about it at all.
Kind of
they're
like what
doing
you guys are
something
doing,
deceitful,
Keri.
which is to accuse you of making a false equivalency. And it's like, I'm not making a false equivalency.
You literally are, though.
I'm looking at some
You are.
similarities between these two things
No, you're
that
making
caused
shit
me
up.
some alarm.
That caused
right?
that created narrative.
We saw this from the woke during the COVID years. When people started talking about authoritarianism, this happened to me when I was talking about how they were talking about people were going to have ID bracelets and identification and stuff if they're vaxxed or unvaxxed. And it's like, wait a minute, you're going to like put like ID numbers on us on whether or not we can participate in society. I think there's some some terrible things that have happened in history. Like we might be heading down some sort of bad path if you start doing this to people. If you tried to look at any similarities to any other types of historical authoritarianism or tyranny, fascism, communism, any of it, they would say, the woke would say, are you saying, remember what they did to Gina Carano? They said, she's saying this is just like the Holocaust, which is not what she was saying. Are you saying that's a false equivalence? You're saying it's just like the Holocaust. I'm not. I'm looking at similarities and differences. It's called compare and contrast.
Keri, you mean that the left wrongly called Gina Carano a Nazi? And you think that's different from you wrongly calling people you don't like Nazis? You want to talk about similarities, Keri? You're literally saying that the left accused Gina Carano falsely of being a literal Nazi, and that was woke and that was bad, on exactly the same episode that you are going to accuse people of literally being Nazis on. And let's just be clear about it. There are some legitimate people on Twitter who do LARP as Nazis. There absolutely are. I don't like them. I don't go around them. I don't listen to them. I don't interact with them. I block them on Twitter when I see them. I don't want any part of that shit. And it's entirely possible that Keri could be pulling up some of those people today to use as examples of the woke right. But what's more likely, I think, is that Keri is going to go after Nick Fuentes and the Groypers because Nick Fuentes is hugely relevant, hugely influential, and Keri doesn't like that. And the reason, you want to know the real reason Keri doesn't like Nick Fuentes? Because Nick Fuentes doesn't hate me. That's actually the reason. So now everything Nick Fuentes says and does will be considered bad purely because Keri doesn't like that Nick Fuentes is like, that like we're like, online political friends or whatever. And that's actually the real reason, because this has happened to me over and over and over again. Every time I'm friends with someone, Keri and her friends will go after that person. Every single time. And then they say, look, it's really Carlin that's the problem. No, it's not me. You assholes are just going after everyone I interact with online.
Contrast. And you need to go back to school if you don't understand the difference between comparing and contrasting something and equating something.
Everyone
an apple is like an orange.
You need to go back to school.
They have lots of things in common. But an apple is not an orange.
Wow. She's like...
Does that make sense? Okay.
I don't like red pill men as a general rule. I really don't like red pill men because they usually tend to be assholes. But I also kind of understand why red pill men think that women like this are bitchy. And they don't want to be around them and they don't want... I've actually learned, you know what? I will say, with some very specific red pill men that I've interacted with, recently, I will say that I feel like I've learned how to be less bitchy as a woman from red pill men. Because, there were, legitimately some things that I did that I didn't really think about, and then had it pointed out to me rather overtly that, yeah, that's kind of a bitchy thing to do, and that's a bitchy voice, and that's not maybe the nicest thing for, a man to experience. I feel like maybe I'm not perfect about it, but I feel like I've taken in this information. I'm like, you know what? You're right about that. That is actually kind of a shitty thing to do. That is actually kind of a shitty voice. That is. That is a shitty tone, and it's demeaning, and it's emotionally manipulative, and... So I feel like I've actually tried to change a little bit in response to some of this feedback, but I guess Keri is about to do the thing that is the voice that I think oftentimes they have problems with. Hang on.
An apple is like an orange. They have lots of things in common, but an apple is not an orange. Does that make sense?
Just a very bitchy thing. It's like, it's like the smug look. It's like,
Thank you, Theology Mom.
Shut up.
Andrew Knapp for the super chat for $2. Thank you, says Jordan B. Peterson was on fire with Candace on X. He nailed it. He did. Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. These people are really under the impression that Jordan Peterson is not insane. They think that Jordan Peterson is based.
pull that up because he totally nailed
Yeah,
it. He
pull
called
it
her
up,
out.
Keri.
And I have
Yep.
some thoughts to say about that as a Christian too, because a lot of people are sort of saying,
I have
they
some
say
thoughts as
to
a
any atheist
Christian.
who happen to speak truth or be able to be discerning and see some truth, and obviously God can use anyone as a believer. We know that's true. And yes, even an atheist can be right about something.
Oh.
And yes, even a non-believer can be right about something. And if an atheist is saying something true, and on the other hand, you've got someone who claims to be Christian who's pushing something that's unchristian and deceitful, I'm still going to validate the thing that is true. God is truth. God is not like
And
what
you
you
are
dress
the
yourself
arbiter,
up as and
Keri.
pretend to be
You
or
are the
put names on.
arbiter.
And
Okay.
you know, that's why there's so many verses in the Bible that say, you know, look at how a person behaves, that say things like, you know, you shall know them by their fruits. All the verses about at the end of days when people will call out, Lord, Lord, didn't we worship and prophesize in your name? And the Lord says, I did not know you. Depart from me. Like it's not about surface stuff and what you say or claim to be. If you are speaking truth, you're speaking truth. If you're speaking lies, you're speaking lies. I'm a believer. So of course I believe in absolute truth. And so Jordan Peterson said some very truthful things. And some people were criticizing him as part of this whole week-long debate that's raging online. All these different figures getting drawn into it, and people were criticizing him and saying,
They take this so seriously.
how dare you speak to what scripture says, or, you know, speak to if someone is being a false shepherd or not. Well, because it's blatant, because it's true. So thank you, Andrew. I'm going to pull that up. Super Base gifted 10 memberships. Super Base, you're a little membership fairy. I appreciate you. And also said, happy St. Patty's Day. Okay, 2 quick announcements, and then we're diving right into this topic.
No. No announcements from Keri. No. No announcements. I just want to hear the topic.
gmail.com. We used to live.
Okay.
Before government made living. I was talking with Mike Harlow this morning.
Ugh.
And Trump has been made some announcement that he's going to try and get rid of the Biden pardons. Did you guys hear this?
Oh, I don't care about this. I don't care about this. I want to know what Keri says about the woke right. We're not going to talk about this.
But we'll see what happens. There was one other quick news item I wanted to share.
Nope.
And a lot of times if you try to talk about it, if you even say the words racist or anti-Semitic and you're trying to talk about it, they immediately, the woke right people immediately jump into your timeline and say things like, there's no such thing as racist.
True. There's not.
They say racism is made up. It's not a real thing. Now,
and I just want to remind everyone, I feel like everyone should be just a little bit more appreciative of me after watching Keri, because really, Keri led a horde of people that tried to harass me to the point where they wanted me to leave the internet and shut up entirely, but they were literally trying to get me to kill myself. It got so bad. And I just want to remind everyone that they got very close to winning. I quit multiple times. I seriously considered worse, although I wouldn't say I'm in that place now. I was back then, though. And that was all because of the bullshit that Keri spun up about me for literally years. And I just want to remind everyone that I persevered. I made it through. And because of that, you guys can come and hang out here and watch interesting content and get interesting commentary. And you don't have to be stuck with bitches like Keri. Because all that bitches like Keri have is to smear and defame every single person that they don't like, because they have nothing original to say. They have nothing original to offer. They have no personality of their own. And if someone brings something different, if someone brings, personality, perspective, whatever it is, they're going to go after that person, because I reflect back to Keri all the things that she is not and all the things she will never be, because she is a shell of a human being. And I just want to remind everyone that you guys could have been stuck with Keri and you all owe me super chat. You don't really. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't want anyone to clip out of context. But I do appreciate the super chat, Kristen. No, I'm not going to quit. We've moved beyond that now. I'm not going to quit now. But it really was touch and go for a long time. People can go back and watch the streams. I was not in a good place with the amount of bullshit that this bitch flung at me. Like, it got really, really, really bad. It was not insignificant.
Keep in mind, they simultaneously believe and will say things against racism against white people. They can see that happening. They do see that. They see how DEI and CRT and stuff is racist against white people. It is. And racist against Asians. It is. But they can see that when it's happening against white people, but they somehow are saying otherwise. It's just made up. It's not a real thing. It doesn't happen to anybody but white people. Well, that's pretty funny because that's exactly what the woke left says, except they change the races.
It's actually not.
I was in the woke left for 20 years. The woke left says racism only exists against quote unquote people of color. They say
nope.
The only race it can't happen to is white people. But see how they're both similar? Like neither of these perspectives is based in.
You know, guys, Keri was an honors student. And Keri was in the gifted program in school. And Keri went to the honors program at Duke University. And Keri is just so smart and so intelligent and so above everyone else that Keri really truly believes that the left is talking about race when they're saying things like whiteness. Keri was a leftist for 20 years. And she never figured out that when the left says whiteness, they mean capitalism. They mean the system. That's why it's called systemic racism. It means the system that upholds racism. The system that upholds racism is capitalism. Very, very intelligent. Oh, the files got released? I hope that's true. Let us know if anyone has breaking news about the JFK files. I love your content. Thanks for teaching me. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Reality, they both have magic rules like, oh, it's possible to be bigoted and prejudiced against an entire people group based on their race, but only against this specific race.
No,
you know,
they literally don't say
like
that,
they're
though,
like,
Keri.
but only against this race. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's not what they say.
It is possible to be bigoted and prejudiced against an entire people group of any race. And when you set up these imaginary fake rules like they're doing, like the woke left did, and like this new, we're calling it woke right until there's a better phrase that more people are using and identifying it as, until, you know, when they do that, when they say racism only exists against white people or racism only exists against people of color, when they set up these fake rules, they are taking themselves out of reality and they are becoming cult-like.
Well, so this is actually a really good question because definitions do matter. When she talks about leftists, does she mean Marxists or liberals? Keri does not know the difference between Democrats and communists. Keri does not know the difference between progressives and communists. Keri does not know the difference between the Democratic Socialists of America and actual revolutionary socialists and actual communists. So when Keri is talking about leftists, what Keri is usually doing is saying, I used to be on the left, and then I woke up to all the ways the left was bad, and then I left the left, and now I spend my time talking about how the left is bad. But she doesn't actually understand the thing that she left, and she doesn't actually understand what they're doing. She's just basically playing on all this conservative clickbait about it online. And she tells a convincing story when you don't look under the hood. Like if you're just looking at the surface level stuff, everything Keri says makes sense. But the moment that you start kind of like really getting into the details of it, it doesn't make sense anymore. And I'll tell you this too. Keri was one of the first people to accuse me of faking my story. She never provided any evidence that I faked my story, and in fact, I provided all the evidence because I was documenting it publicly on the internet the entire time. That I presented the evidence that every single thing that I said happened actually happened, because my story was actually real. I did actually wake up. So I found it odd when Keri was one of the first people to accuse me of faking my story and never had any evidence. And looking back on it now, I'm kind of like, was Keri ever really on the left? Or was that just a really nice story that she told in a time when you could get very famous very quickly for being a Democrat that left the left? Because Keri knew about this whole online world. I didn't know about any of this. So.
They're becoming cult-like, where they're teaching this cult doctrine that has no basis in reality. They're changing the way their cult members and people who listen to them think. Slowly over time, they change the way they think by making certain things off limits. So I used to see woke people all the time who would just repeat like little robots. Racism is prejudice plus power, and it's impossible to be racist against anyone who's a white person because white people hold societal power as a group. So therefore, it's impossible for you. You can be prejudiced against them, but because they have societal power, you can't be racist towards them.
How do they hold societal power, Keri? What does that mean? They hold societal power. What does that mean? It means they are the bourgeois. They are the private property owners. They are the capitalists. They are the ones upholding the system. It's not about skin color. It's about whether or not they're engaging in capitalism.
Like that, they would just like repeat stuff like that. Like cult members. And you're like, okay, can we
like
have a
Billboard
conversation
Chris.
though about like...
He was in a cult. He was in Scientology.
It's possible that... What about somebody who has power to discriminate, to wield their prejudice against a white person? Could that never happen? No, that can't happen because as a group they have societal power. Like they would just repeat it. Well, I'm starting to see the same crap happen over here and what we're calling currently the woke right, until a better term emerges. Starting to see the same thing over here, where they're like, racism doesn't exist. It's a made up sin. It's something that's made up so that people can perpetuate racism against white people. Yes, they are starting to say these things. You're a traitor to your race if you don't see this. They're telling me that. They're telling me that, oh my goodness, one guy, I have to give it up for this guy because at least he was engaging in a very civil way back and forth. But he was telling me that racism only exists against white people. And get this, he was saying white people or heritage Americans, that's what they're calling themselves now, because it sounds fancier. Just like the woke left cult was always coining new phrases and terms that would catch on in popularity. And you would start to see these new phrases and terms everywhere, right? Like people of color or whatever. So a BIPOC, So these woke right people, a lot of them now in their bios, they all almost, it seems like overnight if you weren't paying attention, but if you go to their bios and look, 9 times out of 10, they now have heritage American in their bio. What does that mean? It means white person. It's like heritage Americans, like the BIPOC but for woke right. It's like, it's this identity marker that they're putting in there that makes it sound fancy. And, I'm a heritage American. And so this guy was telling me in sincerity and not being rude like most of them are, but I just was asking him some questions about what he thinks. And he said he believes that racism only happens against white people and that white people, heritage Americans, deserve reparations. He was making an argument for reparations because our future that was promised to us, he says, that founding Americans promised for their posterity.
It sounds like she's just making stuff up because she is. Because she is. Yeah, her name is Keri Smith. She calls herself Keri. Her actual real name is Karen. She is the Karen final boss. Yeah, she's just babbling because she's making this all up.
Love the word posterity. their posterity meaning their what they leave behind, their legacy, their children. And he said, what was promised for white people's posterity was taken from us and given to people of color, and therefore the government owes white people money, reparations. He feels like he is justified for some reparations because of systemic racism against white people. How similar does this sound to you?
This?
To the woke?
Who is saying this? Who is calling for reparations for white people? She is literally just making this shit up.
Cleft. And what they argue, they think Black people are owed reparations because of systemic racism against people of color.
God.
It's always about my identity group, in this case being a racial identity group. My identity group is the oppressed one.
Yeah, I should do that, John. You're
and
right about
therefore, my identity group needs special treatment and favors in the law. And the other racial identity groups need to be discriminated against, but my group needs special favors. It's the same. It's the same. And you're just switching which group. Both of these belief systems, pay attention. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it like I'm talking to a child, but if you're on the left and you're listening, or if you're in the middle or conservative and you're kind of skeptical about like, does this have stuff in common with woke? I'm just saying, pay attention to what's at the basis of their the foundation of both of these ideologies. If you pay attention to that, you can see, oh my goodness, they're both based on collectivism, not individualism.
Literally not, Keri. Literally not.
Not where, you treat people as individuals. You judge and treat people. I'm talking about our intrinsic human value being, you're an individual. You're like a Christian view would say, you're an image bearer. You're a child of God. You have intrinsic value because the Creator made you and wants to have a relationship with you.
But guys, listen, what Keri is saying here, this is representative of the argument being made against the woke right. This is representative of what James Lindsay's doing. This is representative of what Jordan Peterson's doing. This is representative of what Konstantin Kisin is doing. This is representative of what Colin Wright is doing. This is representative of what Misfit Patriot is doing. They all believe this.
These two ideologies are not, neither of them, although one pretends to be Christian. But these two ideologies
you don't
say,
get to decide
no,
as a Christian, Keri.
First and foremost, you're not an individual. First and foremost, you are a group member. First and foremost, you are a member of a collective.
That's
First and
not
foremost,
what they say,
you
actually.
are an identity group member. First and foremost, you are a racial identity group member or a sex identity group member. Like, first and foremost, you are a white person.
That's like literally not the argument being made, but okay.
Or a black person. Like, that's how both of these ideologies look at you. And they say, we should be judged and treated differently based on which of these groups we're in.
Nope, that's not what
they both say that.
No, they don't.
They both have these moral values that they place on you. Yes, Texas Sheep Lady, like inferior, as if you are inferior because you're born one race or another.
They don't say that.
As if you are a victim because you're born one race or another. And both have a lot of resentment. Christianity is not based on resentment. Christianity is based on gratitude.
Gratitude.
Christianity is based on individualism and gratitude. Do you know what this means? It's like, so I'm not guilty for the sins of people who have the same race as me. That's ridiculous. Like the woke left tries to say, right? The woke left is like,
they say it all actually, but okay.
They try to push this white guilt thing and like, you owe reparations and this and you that. You know why? Because white people who looked like you did X, Y, Z. I don't care. They're not me. I'm not guilty for people who have the same race as me, and neither are you. And also, I'm not taking credit for things that people who had the same race as me did. I'm glad they did those things. I'm not going to deny they did those things. I'm grateful for it, but I'm not like pretending like I invented electricity. Like I didn't.
What are you even talking
Okay.
about, Keri? This is crazy.
But I'm not. The point is, like, Christianity's like, I am an individual in the eyes of God. I have my own sins that I did that I'm responsible for. And by the grace of God, I called out and asked for forgiveness for those sins. God gave me a new heart. It's a personal, individual relationship with Him. I'm not saved because I'm white. I'm not saved because I'm a woman or any other identity group. It has nothing to do with that
Yeah.
race
Okay.
and sex and all
right,
these
Keri.
worldly human
Yeah.
things that we put on it.
Yeah.
No. It's an individual relationship with God, an individual humbling that happens.
Hey, Keri, I'll believe that you have an individual humbling relationship with God when you stop attacking people online for no good reason.
Repentance that happens when you realize what you are and what you're missing, what you crave, how you miss that oneness with God, that relationship with the Creator. And I saw this funny meme this week, and thinking of it right now, it was that meme of like Leonardo DiCaprio where he is looking here. Wait, let me just show it to you.
Yes, when Keri was dragging me, Keri was also joining her Christian church. And as Keri was harassing me online and stroking up mobs of people to harass me and defaming me and saying all sorts of crazy shit about me, she was also very literally getting baptized in her church at the same time. And you know, there was even a moment back when I was doing the show with Joshua, who was my like life coach back then, and we did a lot of stuff together, and Joshua and I offered to have a mediated conversation between me and Joshua and Keri and Keri's pastor to try to put aside our differences and to maybe end the feud. And we offered on several occasions, and this was a deeply serious offer. I made multiple videos that I put out there saying, I will sit down with you and your pastor, and Joshua can come as my spiritual advisor, and we can have a nice little chat to try to put it all behind us. And Keri refused. And even like and I reached out directly to Keri's pastor on multiple occasions, just because, if he's really a good Christian and he's definitely not leading a Christian cult, then maybe he might want to act like a good Christian. His name is Bradley Helgerson, or something like that. Bradley Helger something. I don't even remember. He is the pastor at the Church on the Square in Texas. And I reached out and I said, I will sit down with this and it'll be better for everyone. And he never acknowledged my outreach either. And so I'm kind of confronted with the idea that we have someone pretending to be a Christian who is not acting very Christ-like. We have someone pretending to be a pastor that's not actually acting like he's an arbiter of peace. So are they really Christians? Are they really? Because they're not acting like it.
It's so much better to show a meme than try and describe it, right? It's so funny. My friend Tatiana shared this here. Here we go. I happen to have this. It's the one where Leonardo DiCaprio looks so smug and he's laughing. And it says, when someone tries to insult me, but I sing hymns on Sunday that call me worse things.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so true.
It's so good, Keri.
And I feel like
it's amazing.
Christians, fellow believers, you get that joke.
And brave and beautiful.
Because we are singing hymns on Sunday. In fact, yesterday, one of the hymns, it's talking about a wretch like me.
Stunning and brave and beautiful.
I'm a wretch. You're not going to call me much worse than that. It's true. But there's this.
Wait. Hang on. I need to get this recorded. Hang on. This is very, very deeply important, what I'm about to do. If my my clipping tool doesn't want to work. Okay. Come on, clipping tool. Come on. Come on. I believe in you, clipping tool. Just record it. Just do it. Come on. You're open. You're functional. What? There it goes. Okay. Hang on. Hang on.
We are singing hymns on Sunday. In fact, yesterday, one of the hymns, it's talking about a wretch like me. I'm a wretch. You're not going to call me much worse than that.
Thank you, Keri.
It's true.
Thank you. Thank you for that clip. Thank you. Hang on a second. Hang on. Hang on. This is deeply important. Everyone, just take a quick bathroom break if you need to. Thank you, Annie, for the super sticker. I appreciate it. I need this clip to save. Okay, create new document. Hang on. I'm going to do something really fun. And it's going to be really, really quick. And if you and you're just going to have to trust me. Hang on. This is going to take like 2 minutes tops. Give me 1 sec. Adjust the volume. Make sure the volume's good. Okay. Okay, hang on, hang on, hang on. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Almost there. This is going to be the best clip ever. Hang on. Keri's going to love this. Okay, okay. Exporting. How do we spell wretch? R-E-T-C-H? Is that how we spell wretch? Yeah, I looped it. I may have looped it. I may have looped it a little bit. Hang on. Hang on. I gotta post this. What is actually the proper definition of a wretch? Does anyone know? What is like the Wikipedia definition of a wretch? Okay, it's exported. Hang on, you guys are going to love this. Keri Smith finally tells the truth. Okay, getting the clip. You guys are going to see. An unfortunate or unhappy person. I have that the I'm a bitch song stuck in my head right now. You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm a bitch. I'm a da 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 da. Okay, hang on. Posting the video. Almost there. Then you guys can see what I did. Okay. Video is posted. Let me share this tab, make sure it loads up real nice. This will be my triumph of the day right here. And you guys can say you were here for it. If the Twitter loads. Okay, we're here. You guys have the sound? Yes.
I'm a wretch. 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 I'm a wretch.
If you guys want to share this, I will put this in the chat if you guys would like to share that with your followers or comment on it in any way. And that's all. That's all. You know, I'm just reporting exactly what Keri said. And it's not my fault that she said it. And it's not my fault that I clipped it. These are the laws of the internet. I had to do it. And now we can continue.
True. But there's this based, like reality-based acknowledgement of our own capacity for human failure and evil and everything. And then this relief and this overwhelming joy that like God has saved us from that and from crippling shame about those things, that there's this freedom in God. It's not, Christianity is not based on resentment like these two different competitive bad belief systems. It's not based, and these competitive belief systems, woke left and what I'm calling woke right, or we're calling woke right until a better phrase comes along. They're both based on the same, they're basically the same thing.
They're really not.
They just
Keri.
switch the order
They're really
of
not.
the identity groups.
Completely
but they're very
wrong.
similar.
Nope.
It's like woke, but it's pretending to be right. And it's changing which identity groups. But they're both based on resentment. You know, this guy's talking
They're
about white
really
people
not.
need reparations, and this guy over here is talking about black people need reparations. And I'm like, how about you only get reparations for things that actually happen to you?
Can you
Justice for things that happen to you?
Can you imagine being Keri? Can you imagine being Keri's husband and you get confronted with that voice?
Justice for things that happen to you?
Wait, that wasn't even the best one.
Only get reparations for things that actually happen to you?
How many times has Keri's husband heard that voice, do you think? Look at that face.
How about you only get reparations for things that actually happen to you?
Last time.
How about you only get reparations for things that actually happen to you? Justice for things that happen to you? And you only get punished for things that you personally actually did?
She did it again!
And not things that other people did, that somehow you're getting other people's
It
sins
wasn't an
saddled
accident.
onto
She
you?
did it again.
So a lot of times in these discussions, I'm told, well, Keri, why are you talking about Jew hate? Why are you talking about anti-Semitism or racism? And like I said, they usually start off with,
Yeah.
racism and anti-Semitism doesn't exist, blah,
Basically.
blah, blah. And then they have their carve-outs and their caveats of like, well, it does exist, but just for white people. Racism does exist, but they have their carve-outs, right? But here's a funny thing that's happened. The woke left, several of us have been saying this all along, like the past 8 years. The woke left has misused words. They're liars and deceivers, and they misuse words, but they did so. And they did so for many reasons. But one of the consequences of doing that is that they removed the meaning of words, and they sucked the meaning dry. So they called everyone Nazis. They called everyone except
Just
themselves
like
racist,
you're
which is funny because they're
Keri.
racist. They are racist. They do
Just
judge and treat
like
people
you're
differently
doing
on the
now.
basis of race. They do. And they are racist towards white people specifically. And sometimes they're racist towards Asian people. And they're also, weirdly enough, they're racist also towards the people they claim to defend and speak on behalf of. They're racist towards black people because they say black people don't know how to get an ID or do math or show up on time. And they have all these really disgusting racist stereotypes about black people. So they're just racist through and through. But they called everyone else racist to distract and deflect from their own racism, A. But B, by doing that, it's so weird what happened, because they called everyone who wasn't in the woke left a racist. And they called everyone, I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of people, they called them all of us, racist, Nazi, all this stuff. And they did it so long, for so many years, that you now have these young, mostly young people, not always, but young men for the most part, who are now saying things like racism doesn't mean anything. Nazi doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything, Keri.
It doesn't mean anything. That's what they're saying.
It's true.
They're buying into what the left did. So in the end, they're actually just as manipulated by the left, by the woke left, as the people who are in the woke left cult.
Are you serious? Are you serious? The left runs around calling everyone a racist Nazi for years and years and years and years and years. Young men then learn, oh, when someone calls you a racist or a Nazi, it's just a bullshit tactic to try to get you to bend the knee to what they want you to bend the knee to. And we're not going to buy into this paradigm. And we're going to say, no, we're not racist. And no, we're not Nazis. And no, there's no such thing as these. You guys are just making shit up. And now Keri is like, and that is bad. And that is proof you are being controlled by the left. Keri, that makes no fucking sense.
Because they let their
exactly,
view of the world become skewed based on what the woke left said. Now they look at the world with these woke left, these glasses that have been broken by the woke left, and they look out the world and they say, there is no racism
girl.
except for against white people. Like it's all been shaped as a reaction to the woke left. Their view is just as distorted. But they are, congratulations, the woke left got their way. They have turned you into the boogeyman they wanted to fight. So, when I talk about this stuff, they say, again, there is no racism. There is no anti-Semitism. Racism only exists against white people. So it does exist, but only against white people. They say things like that.
They don't say
then
things like
they
that,
always want to
actually.
pivot
They
and start
literally
talking about
don't say
Israel
that.
and the war. I don't want to talk about Israel and the war. I don't have opinions on it. I don't know enough about it. The only opinion I have that I've expressed several times is I don't think we should be paying for the war.
So you're a commentator on the internet. And since October 7th, you haven't bothered to form an opinion on what Israel is doing in Gaza. That's a little convenient, Keri.
That's it. Other than that, I never talk about it because I don't know enough to talk about it. Why would I? And so they always pivot into this place of like, if you want to talk about Jew hate, you want to talk about rising anti-Semitism or Jew hatred, they're like, criticizing Israel isn't anti-Semitism.
True.
And here's a good response for that when they do it to you. When they're doing that deceitful game to you, I always say, you're right. Criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitism.
Correct.
I'm not talking about criticizing Israel. I'm talking about anti-Semitism.
We're talking about criticizing
So that thing
Israel,
you want to talk
Keri.
about over there, go talk about it. Criticizing Israel and whatever criticisms you have, fine. If that's all you're doing, then this doesn't apply to you at all.
Except you're trying to make it apply, Keri.
Why are you hollering like a hit dog if this doesn't apply to you?
Why are you crying out
Why
as
are
you
you
strike
hollering
us,
like
Keri?
it did hit you? Criticizing Israel is criticizing Israel. It's not anti-Semitic. It's not racist.
You guys could have had her over
And
me.
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about
Remember
actually
how lucky you
anti-Semitic
got?
and racist things. And then they say, well, what is that? That
What are
doesn't
you
actually
talking
exist.
about?
Yes, it does. Here we go.
Yeah, show
I just
us,
started
Keri.
collecting
Show us
it.
your evidence.
No, I should have started a year ago because I've been seeing this stuff growing for a year, but I just thought to do it this month. And so let me put this on the stage. Now, every time I see this stuff in my comments, I just add it to this thread so that I can keep pointing people to this thread.
Keri's
So
doing
when
an
they say that's not
anti-Semitism thread?
happening, I can say, well, okay, here it is. They do that woke thing. They do the thing that woke people do. Remember when the woke people would say, when you talk about mutilating and sterilizing children, how wrong that is. And the woke people say, that's not happening. And then you say, well, here are some studies that show double mastectomies happening to girls as young as 12 and 13. So it is happening. And then they go, well, it is happening, I guess, but it's a good thing that it's happening. Well, that's what these people do. They say, oh, anti-Semitism isn't.
I like this, Sam. I like this. Sam says she's doing what I call a Jamesism. She's word salading while making shit up, just like James. Indeed. Yeah, and by the way, Keri is literally copying something that I did with her when I was trying to document all the bullshit that this woman was doing to me. I literally did this. I literally made a giant ass Keri thread on my Twitter, and then I realized that there was so much I had to put in that thread that it was going to be impossible to document all of the Keri things in one thread, and that's when I started the Surviving Keri Smith Substack, because it was too big for one thread on Twitter, and people weren't looking at it. So, yep, you're welcome, Keri.
Real, it's not happening. And then you say, well, look at this thread. None of this thread is not about criticizing Israel. This thread has nothing to do with the war, nothing to do with the state of Israel. This thread is about being a racist jerk.
You found
towards
racists
Jewish
and
people,
anti-Semites
and
on
that's
the internet.
it.
Congratulations.
So
Like,
here,
they've
I said
always
this is a
existed.
thread for me to direct people to when they do the woke, it's not happening thing about rising Jew hate, and they pretend that people are just commenting on the war, which is
Keri-
insulting to my intelligence.
Keri, it's insulting to our intelligence when you create a Twitter thread with hand-picked tweets from no-name accounts that no one has ever heard of, and you're like, look, this is proof of rising anti-Semitism. No, Keri, it's proof that you went on the internet and cherry-picked a bunch of screenshots from accounts that no one has ever heard of that probably did say racist things, that probably did say anti-Semitic things. Guess what? This is the fucking internet. People say a lot of crazy shit. You can find people saying anything. That does not mean that you creating a Twitter thread of people saying crazy shit is proof of rising anti-Semitism, and you're insulting our intelligence if you think we're going to buy this. Rottweiler, these are the people who have no problem admitting that criticizing Xi Jinping and the CCP doesn't mean that you hate all Chinese people, but when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel, it is a curious distinction. It is a curious distinction. We're not going to watch too much more of this, guys. I'm just kind of amusing myself at this point, but if you stopped by earlier because you wanted the Candace Owens drama and the Jeremy Boring drama, hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you want to hang out, watch a little bit more of Keri rambling on the internet and me complaining about it, you're welcome to stay. We're going to watch a little bit more, but not too much. And, of course, I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Please make sure you mount the like button. Please make sure you're subscribed if you would like to continue this strange little journey with me.
I send them this thread, I expect some will move to the other woke thing and say, well, it is happening, but it's a good thing. So I've been doing screenshots and also the links because some of these are going to get deleted. I know that. So this one, what he was replying to got deleted, but he was replying to a Jewish guy. I think it was either to God's Side or Ron Coleman. I think it was Ron Coleman.
Someone posted a picture.
And he puts in this racist depiction of a Jew, that I never thought I would see so much of this crap in 2025, but here we are. I see this kind of stuff on my timeline all the time.
I've been seeing that for years. Where were you?
In honor of St. Patrick's Day,
Wait,
I'm in
the thread.
I'm gonna tell you, this is kind of funny. One of my friends.
I'm in the thread. Does she show me in the thread? Oh God, please show me in the thread, Keri. Please show.
Frank McCormick, you guys know him as Chalkboard Heresy. He's the teacher who righteously stood up against woke left ideology in his elementary school.
This keeps going for another half an hour? All right, well, we definitely have to get up to the part where Keri gives me a shout out. See, now I don't feel bad about clipping Keri out of context. I don't feel bad at all. I didn't even know I was getting a shout out.
And was fired for it. And I've got an interview with him up on the channel if you want to go back and watch that in the archives. But anyway, Frank McCormick, who is obviously Irish. He has an Irish last name, McCormick.
Where's my vape?
For St. Patty's Day, it's like Frank McCormick. He's Catholic. He's, Irish Catholic. And if you criticize this thing that's happening, this whole rise in anti-Semitism, if you call attention to it, like he's been doing, like I've been doing, they will call you a Jew. And so they've been calling him a Jew. And he said one of the funniest things. He said, what did he say? Oh, they're after me lucky shekels. Like Irish Jewish. And every time I think about that, it makes me laugh. They're after me lucky shekels. Okay, so they will call you that. They'll call you a Jew like it's an insult. It's the same way the woke would call you white, or they would call you white people, W-Y, but they would do the letter Y and T.
It's not actually
White
the same
people,
thing,
white
Keri.
people, remember that? You know, where they try and use white as if being white is the worst thing ever and it's an insult. Well, they do the same thing.
Didn't Frank McCormick admit to having Jewish ancestors at some point? Maybe I'm making that up. Someone fact check me if I am, but I'm pretty sure that in addition to admitting that he went off his psychiatric medications, which he actually did admit to, I'm pretty sure Frank actually admitted that he had like a Jewish grandmother or something like that.
And they call you Jew, even if they know you're not, or, you know, because to them it's an insult. Then they have,
no, it's a statement of facts.
Look at this. This is some of the stuff. I shared this a year ago, almost a year ago to the date, March 25th, 2024. That's how I know that I've been noticing this for a year. I said back then, you shall know them by their fruits. These are some of the fruits of the fringe white supremacist and anti-Semitic Groyper influencers. Now, a year ago, it wasn't as bad as it is today. It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. But here's some of the stuff where they are trying to appropriate the phrase Christ is King, and they're using it clearly, not to tell people of Christ's glory, to tell people that Christ is King, which he is. If you're a believer, you know this to be true. But they're saying it to mean F the Jews. They're saying it to mean something hateful and malicious and racist and gross, which is a perversion of what the phrase means. It's subverting the phrase. It's like mocking Christ. It's taking God's name in vain. That's what they're doing. And I think they're part of the reason they're doing it is to try and make because they claim to be Christian, they claim to be conservatives. I think they're trying to make Christians look bad. I think they're trying to make conservatives look bad. I think they're trying to.
You think people who are saying Christ is King are trying to make Christians and conservatives look bad? You think that Catholic virgins who wear suits and ties and talk about getting married and having kids and raising a family and bringing those kids to church and teaching them to say Christ is King, you think that's making Christians look bad?
Do a fake version of like, this is what Christians and conservatives are like. And some people are falling for this crap. And they're starting to believe this crap. It's not just one or two people.
Then show evidence.
I can already hear in my head, like there are people arguing, oh, this is cherry picked. No, it's all the time in the comments. And they follow certain creators.
Ooh.
They follow these anti-Semitic.
Oh no. They follow creators Keri doesn't
Candace
like?
Owens being one. Now, Candace Owens, I don't think she's actually, somebody was like, I don't think she's anti-Semitic. And I was like, well, great. We agree. I don't actually think she's anti-Semitic either, but she's saying anti-Semitic things.
What?
I think she's a grifter and a con artist and some type of cluster B. I think that she will say anything. I don't know if she's paid to say these things or not, but I don't think she sincerely believes them. I don't think she's sincerely a Jew hater. I just think she doesn't care.
Jew hater.
And she's going to say whatever's going to get her the clicks and attention right now. I think she's a force for dark right now.
Candace Owens is a force
I
for
regret
dark.
ever sharing any of her stuff or listening to her. Elijah Schaefer, he's another one. Elijah Schaefer is saying explicitly racist and anti-Semitic stuff. I regret going on his program. I think he's full of crap and a complete fraud. In many ways.
Hey God. Oh God. I gotta clip this. I have to post this. Holy shit. Keri, that's just rude, Keri. That's just rude. Come on. Elijah's a good guy. He works real hard. Okay.
Elijah Schaefer, he's another one. Elijah Schaefer is saying explicitly racist and anti-Semitic stuff. I regret going on his program. I think he's full of crap and a complete fraud in many ways. We'll just leave it at that.
Shit. I messed it up. I gotta do it again. One more time. Sorry, my bad.
Elijah Schaefer is saying explicitly racist.
Hang on.
I regret ever she's a force for dark right now.
Okay.
I regret ever sharing any of her stuff or listening to her. Elijah Schaefer, he's another one. Elijah Schaefer is saying explicitly racist and anti-Semitic stuff. I regret going on his program. I think he's full of crap and a complete fraud in many ways. We'll just leave it at that. And he's not just saying anti-Semitic stuff. He's saying stuff on the regular now about how black people can never be American. These are not real conservatives. These are not people who believe in individualism and liberty. These are anti-constitutionalists. And if you look in their comments, they are cultivating an audience of people who are buying into this crap.
Oh no, Keri. Oh no. People are having ideas that you don't like, Keri? Oh no. Oh no. Guys, somewhere on the internet, someone is having a conversation that Keri Smith did not approve of. Oh, the humanity. Hang on, I'm just waiting for this clip to save. Hang on. Let me clip this up real quick. Thank you for being patient with me. Just easier if I do it on the fly right now rather than wait. And that way it can be done and it can be posted and we can continue watching. 1 second. Just volume. There we go. Hang on. Hang on. Saving. Keri drags Elijah. Fast export. All right, now we can continue.
So here's some of the people using the phrase Christ is King in a perverted way. It's not hard to tell how somebody's using it. It's not. Like, that's the other thing is I see people going, should we not say Christ is King now? Of course you should not stop saying Christ is King if you're a believer. He is. It's sort of like what I said before. Like when I was talking about the woke left has changed the way that some of these woke right people think and the way they speak and the things they say. Well, don't let that happen the other way. Don't let woke right people misusing this phrase change the way you speak or the things you believe or the things you say. It just so happens that yelling Christ is King every day on Twitter is not something I normally did anyway before these people started trying to pervert the phrase. So it wasn't like a let me wake up and do that. And a lot of the big influencers, the ones with large platforms who are now doing this, are total frauds, like Benny Johnson, another one, who went from never saying it to now saying it every morning. Benny Johnson started doing that after praising and promoting an alleged child rapist and sex trafficker, Andrew Tate.
Oh.
Not interviewing him, praising him and promoting him to his audience.
Oh no, he promoted someone Keri doesn't like.
After that, he started running the Christ is King defense every day. Christ is King. I'm like, you know what? You're taking the Lord's name in vain. You're trying to use Christianity as a cloak.
Wow.
It's disgusting. To people who believe in some people, I know this is shocking. Some of us actually believe.
As a reminder, Keri Smith is friends with Nikki Klein and was friends with Nikki Klein when Nikki Klein was literally recruiting for the Nexum cult, the one that branded women, the one that multiple people have gone to jail for. So Keri is one to talk.
And the things we say we believe in. Like, it's actually important to us. So I have a lot of anger about people trying to smear Christianity to smear Christians, to smear Christ himself by saying things they don't believe and don't mean, or by saying things with a perverted, disgusting meaning. One comparison from the woke left would be the way that woke left tried to, here, let me take this off the screen just for a second. The way that woke left tried to, wait a minute. I don't know why this isn't working. Hold on. Okay. Do you remember the way they tried to get everybody to say Black Lives Matter? They tried to get everybody to say it, and it was sort of this struggle session thing, this game.
I want to preemptively point out that I talk with the Groypers quite a bit. I am in multiple Groyper group chats. By the way, I tried to leave all the Groyper group chats, not because I was upset with the Groypers necessarily, but just because I was like, the group chats take over your life, and I was trying to focus on other things. I was like, I cannot do this right now, Groypers. And so I left all the Groyper group chats. The Groypers have been slowly adding me back to the group chats. I tried to go. They can't quit me. And I'm being slowly added back to all of the group chats that I left. And I just like, every time I open my inbox, I'm back in another fucking group chat that I left like 3 days ago. And I'm like, all right, well, you're obviously not going to let me leave. But the reason I bring this up is the Groypers know I'm not a Christian. The Groypers, like, and I have had conversations about this. They think that what I believe is dumb, and that's fine. There has never been one single time where any of the Groypers have, or Nick Fuentes himself, they have never demanded I say Christ is King. It has never happened. They've never even demanded that I become a Christian. I mean, they've tried. They're like, when are you going to get confirmed in the Catholic Church, Carlin? When are you becoming a Catholic, Carlin? When are you doing this, Carlin? Like, they definitely try to push me in that direction. But when I say I'm not a Catholic and it's fine for you to be a Catholic, but I'm not a Catholic, like, they're actually fine with it. Now, Keri is about to say, the Groypers are running around demanding that everyone say Christ is King and you will be canceled if you don't. I literally hang out with the Groypers and I have never once been pressured to say Christ is King.
That they would play. And if you recognized what was happening and the rhetorical games they were doing, the devices they were using, if you recognize that, like, hey, wait a minute, this organization, Black Lives Matter, and the people that are supporting it are Marxists, and they're trying to destroy the nuclear family openly.
Yeah.
And by the way,
true.
All the money's going to mansions for the leaders of the group.
Oh, that's usually not
And,
where it's going.
you know, this is a racially divisive thing that's pretending to be anti-racism, but it's actually a racist thing. And I'm not going to be a part of that. And if you refuse to do it, you know, remember what they would say? They would say, so you don't believe Black Lives Matter? And it's like, yeah, of course I do. Well, why won't you say it? Why won't you capitalize it and put it in your profile?
No one has
You
said
better
that
say
to
it. You don't believe it.
things that never happened for 1,000, Keri. Show me some evidence. Show me. I want one piece of fucking evidence that Keri has ever been told, if you don't put Christ as King in your profile, then we're going to cancel you. Like, fuck off. That has never happened.
No. Like, I'm not going to be part of some weird game you're playing. Of course I believe Black Lives Matter. But I'm not going to bend the knee and do the thing that you're telling me to do. Bend the knee to your Marxist ideology? No. Okay, so they're doing something similar with this. Again, I'm not equating it. I'm not saying it's the exact same. I'm just saying it's similar.
Show us the evidence, Keri.
They're doing this similar game where they're like, why won't you say it then? Say it exactly this way. Where people are sort of asking, well, of course I believe Christ is King and Lord of Lords. And they're like, you didn't say it the exact way. Say it. Say Christ is King. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you taking this true phrase for that I do believe in and trying to use it for? What darkness are you trying to use it for? Like, I want to be very clear that I'm not a part of whatever it is you're trying to force me to be a part of. That's happening. Yes, Andrew, difference is BLM doesn't have the name of God. Yes, exactly. They're not equal. They're just, I'm making some comparisons. Exactly. So here are some of these phrases. Let's go through some.
Let's go through them, Keri.
These are
Let's
some
do it.
examples. Quote, this is a tweet. Once you become aware of international Jewery, Jewery?
Didn't even capitalize
It's
it.
hard not to say Christ is king, just to force a shape-shifting Jew into exposing itself like a monster, right? Okay.
Like a reptilian.
It's hard not to say Christ is king to force a shape-shifting Jew into exposing itself. This is after apparently you become aware of so-called international Jewery. Okay. Here's a picture of Groyper King Nick Fuentes holding a crucifix.
Groyper
Nick
King.
Fuentes, again, perpetually single man with some
'Cause he hates
perverted sexual proclivities.
What?
Allegedly. Never married.
This is the good Christian Keri spreading rumors about the young Catholic virgin boy. Well, I guess he's a man now. I mean, Nick is almost 27. I guess he's getting into man territory, I guess. But Keri, do you have evidence of Nick Fuentes' alleged sexual proclivities, or are you spreading gossip, Keri? Because I don't think that gossip is looked highly upon in your Bible.
Perverted sexual proclivities, allegedly. Never married. Who claims to be traditional.
He's 26 years old. Keri's like, and he's never been married. He's 26 years old.
And Catholic.
And he hates women.
And yet says things like marriage is for gay people and for cucks, and married men are cucks and things like this.
Well, it's not exactly
and married
what
men
he
are
said.
gay, he says, and weird stuff like this. And, you know, he was one of the ones on January 6th who was on camera on a bullhorn telling his supporters to storm the Capitol, and yet nothing happened to him that day. Weird,
because he
right?
didn't break the law.
Weird that there were no legal repercussions for him. So a lot of people think he is some type of informant for or a Fed or, you know, some type of plant.
There it is.
Anyway, this person has a picture of him, Groyper King, Nick Fuentes, and it says, Oy vey.
Oy vey.
And this is in quotes, so they're making fun. They're saying, Oy vey. Everyone understands that saying Christ is king is anti-Semitic and therefore should not be said. And this person goes, is that so? Watch this. Christ is king. Seethe harder, Jew. Seethe harder, Jew.
This is the evidence of the growing tide of anti-Semitism. I know who this account is. I think I follow this account. Oh no, someone told a Jew to seethe harder. Oy
Everyone
vey,
understands
Keri.
that saying Christ is
Oy
king is
vey.
anti-Semitic and therefore should not be said. And this person goes, is that so? Watch this. Christ is king. Seethe harder, Jew. Seethe harder, Jew. Okay. Here's another. Christ is king. Every Jew knee will bow. Seems like they got some very specific sort of hatred of.
Well, I mean, the Jews don't accept Christ, so maybe that's the point they're making.
Jewish people. What would you call that? Here's another one. It says, what? Waking up to the truth?
Look at
scary proposition. For
all of the tweets that Keri's showing. It's like people are saying it's like 30 views, 8 views, 10 views. Keri is finding these tweets that basically have no views on them and being like, look, this is proof that the anti-Semites are taking over. It's been 8 people have seen this, Keri. 8 people, 10 people.
Jews, I would imagine. Imagine being found out for the murderous liars you really are. Christ is king. So all Jews are murderous liars in a way that all humans aren't? Like, how are you setting apart this one race and saying they specifically are all murderous liars in a way that humankind, they are fallen in a way that humankind is not fallen? I'm sorry, that's not Christianity. That's not Christianity. We are all equally fallen. We all need Jesus. That's Christianity.
That's what they mean when they say bend the knee, Keri. Or you will bend, or whatever they say.
Here's a few more. The quote, the moment you have Christians saying Christ is king, the Jews immediately go back to slandering white people. What? Who are these people? Here's another one. Christ is king, Jews be damned. They should pray for faith and forgiveness and quit their Jewish unbelief and be spared. Again, why are you singling out Jews? And I know Jews who have found Jesus.
Why are
you singling them?
Why are people singling out Jews? I mean, that's a fair question. Why are people singling out Jews? Could it be that every single effing day when we log on to Twitter, and this has been true since October 7th of 2023, every single day we log on to Twitter or go anywhere online, we are told you're anti-Semitic, you're anti-Semitic, you're anti-Semitic, you're literally a Nazi, you're literally a Nazi, you're literally a Nazi. You watched a video we don't like, you're literally a Nazi. You took a position on a war in the Middle East that we don't like, you're literally a Nazi. Like, could it be that there has been congressional hearing after congressional hearing about the rise in anti-Semitism, which is completely all fucking made up and fake? Could it be that there's been massive smears against the campus protesters, calling them Jew-hating anti-Semites when they're not? They're radical revolutionary socialists. Could it be that people are getting banned for having so-called anti-Semitic opinions, that you assholes are trying to pass free speech laws against anti-Semitic speech? Could it be that you're literally trying to get it made illegal for people to say the word Zionism, which is not all Jews? All Jews are not Zionists. But you want to make it anti-Semitic for us to say the word Zionism and talk about a political ideology? I just don't know why people are talking about the Jews all of a sudden. Maybe it's because the Jews, or at least a contingent of them, not all Jews, fine. Maybe it's because a contingent of them won't shut the fuck up.
Are you singling them out? Like, why aren't you saying everybody should pray for faith and forgiveness? But it's like, no, Jews be damned. They should pray for faith and forgiveness, quit their Jewish unbelief and be spared, yet many won't. Their pride prevents it. What need have I of a savior? Our Lord uses them as an example for the rest of us. Don't be like them, like Jews. That's what he means. John Connor, hey, Jewess. Just curious, you and your tribe have been expelled from 109 countries in the past. Do you and your fellow Jews ever examine your subversive and anti-Christian behavior as the provocation for your being expelled? By the way, Jewess, it's going to be 110 countries soon.
Jewish,
Christ is king.
I don't apologize.
Like, basically saying we're going to be kicking all Jews out of our country. This is not Christianity. And saying Christ is king, putting that Christ is king stamp on this, that is not Christianity. That's taking the Lord's name in vain, which is one of the worst things you can do, serpent. Here's another one. Jeremy Boring,
22 views.
From the Daily Wire, who had said, like I say, of course not. Christ, he says Christ is king. He's a Christian. Christ is king. As I said in my post, say it loud, say it proud. And this Groiper says, what a relief. The Jews give me permission to say Christ is king as long as I stop noticing that Jews are destroying society again and again. Notice how he's calling Jeremy, who's a Christian, he's calling him a Jew. This is what they do. They call everyone Jews.
Jeremy Boring is owned by Jews, like, provably. When do I come up? What tweet did she use? I hope she picked.
There's more. I mean, there's just this person says Muslims will no longer be used as a fall guy for Jews' shortcomings. In this, we are brothers. He's saying Christians and Muslims are brothers because they both hate the Jews. He's saying we both hate the Jews, so we're brothers. Christ is king, he says, and every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. Here's another Groiper meme. Kneel before God. Christ is king. Here's another one. Christ is king, Jew. He says that to a Christian. This is Christ is king. This person just spammed Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king.
Oh,
Rot,
no.
skank.
Oh no.
Suck some more Jew, C-O-C-K, you worthless
Ooh.
sket.
Got a little spicy there.
F-U-C-K yourself. Get back to Israel. Bye. Go away, you hairy chimp. That's
a
right
little
after
much.
saying Christ is
Disavow.
king 3 times.
Disavow. Disavow.
Is this
all
a,
that. Disavow.
are you witnessing for Christ
Disavow.
when you do this? Are you being sincere when you do this? Are we to believe that when you say Christ is king, that's what you mean, and you mean it filled with the Spirit?
Well, Texas, but yeah, probably.
The Spirit of Jesus, filled with the Holy Spirit.
The
That's
power
what,
of Christ
that's
compels
what you're doing.
you. The power
No.
of Christ compels you.
Don't insult my intelligence, and don't insult my faith, and don't insult my God.
Oh no. Oh no. Don't make
And
Keri
that's what these
mad.
woke right people
These
are doing
woke writer people are doing
when they
Keri's such a
lie to
boomer.
my face, lie to me on X, and say this isn't happening. I don't know what you're talking about. Like this thread, I only showed you 3 tweets.
Keep on showing
This
us,
goes
Keri.
on and on and on. Here, look. F this Jew, F-U-C-K this Jew. Christ is king. It just, it goes on and on and on. And I've added so many.
Yeah. Keri mad. Keri smashed. Keri feel bad.
To this thread. Look at this. This is, they just say like right out loud what it is that they are. This was my friend Frank McCormick, who I mentioned. He said, if I were Jewish, I would honestly consider leaving the country. The JQ, that's what they call it, the Jewish question, the Jewish conspiracy,
She's
right? Like
figured
it's
out
the
the
Jews.
acronym.
He's like, the
Oh,
JQ is now mainstream
no.
and it will only get worse.
Oh no. She figured
And
it
this guy
out.
goes, this woke right person goes, the official 1984, pretty big account. You might follow this
Very big
anti-Semitic account.
Good merch.
Says, I would have to say that I 100% agree. Welcome to the jungle, Jews. Buckle up or F-U-C-K off, back to Israel. We're about to flip some tables and cast out some demons. This is
I
a
obviously
very
disavow.
large account. The official
Disavow,
1984.
obviously. No anti-Semitism
Here's the kind
allowed
of stuff
here.
they say to Frank, to me, to others. Are you a Jew? Because you're a dirty Jew. You didn't answer the question like a typical evasive Jew. Again, Frank is an Irish Catholic with the name McCormick.
With a Jewish grandmother.
Okay. But, you know, doesn't
Pretty
matter to
sure.
these guys. Truth doesn't matter to them. Just like truth doesn't matter to the woke left. Here's another one. Heritage, white heritage pride, heritage of white. That's the handle. Jews deserve death and hell, says this person. They put up this meme. They say, just to clarify. And they've separated the word Judeo-Christian. They have Christian representing Christ on the cross, and they have Judeo, like the Jews did this over here.
Well, I mean, isn't that literally true?
Here's one from Elijah Schaefer. Cry more, Jew boy. By the way, they're all doing this stuff now.
Because it pisses you
Even
guys
the
off.
large
Yeah.
accounts, these anti-Semitic large accounts, like Elijah Schaefer has millions of followers.
Keri, sometimes when people are annoying on the internet, and sometimes when people on the internet try to tell other people on the internet what they can say and do, those annoying people, Keri, they piss people off. And sometimes when annoying people keep trying to control other people over and over and over and over and over again, eventually those other people start doing things just to trigger the people who have annoyed them so perpetually, probably for a very long time. And you know what, Keri? They're allowed to say stuff that you don't like. And you're allowed to get upset about it. But the difference between Elijah Schaefer and Keri Smith is that even though Elijah Schaffer might piss a lot of people off, I have never once seen Elijah Schaffer call for someone to be censored or deplatformed or any of these things. I have absolutely, in this video that we're watching now, seen Keri Smith call for people who have opinions that she doesn't like to be gatekept and removed from movements. So you can work out for yourself who is the annoying person that's trying to control everyone and who is the person that's being spicy on Twitter because he can.
I used to think he was just a normal based person. I went on his show back when he was on The Blaze. This guy is a total wolf in sheep's clothing.
Wow, Keri.
In more ways than one. And here he is now, just outright. They just do this. They go, if you disagree with them or you try to have a conversation or like, where are you going with this? Cry more, Jew boy, he says. Here's where he's talking about Jewish people. They are American citizens and share equal rights, but they are not ethnically American. Oh, no, this is when he was talking about black people. He was saying black people are not ethnically American. Even if they're third generation, fourth generation, it doesn't matter. If they're black, they're not really American. That's what Elijah Schaffer is saying. He goes, unlike you, some of us are ethnically and legally American. He's a heritage American, guys. Joel Berry, one of the guys at the Babylon Bee, who's been noticing this stuff and calling it out too. He and Seth Dillon are both doing a great job.
You don't say he's been noticing.
He says,
Keri?
Jew hate is the new wokeness. And this guy goes, well, I'm woke AF then. They're just admitting it. I'm woke AF.
Yep, we even made hats. Literally, I made hats.
They just say it. They don't, they're
Dark
woke. Right. Right. In
Dark
quotes.
woke.
Here's another one. I'm starting to see this kind of stuff everywhere on X where they're like, Hitler wasn't such a bad guy. Hitler was great. Hitler was a Christian. Hitler was this. Hitler was one of the craziest ones happened yesterday. Corey Mailer, I'll show you in a second, who's one of the co-hosts of a very popular, supposedly Christian podcast. That's an outright, openly white supremacist podcast, openly anti-Semitic podcast. And he just tweeted that the Third Reich was Christianity put into political action. That Hitler was basically commanded by God to do what he did.
Disavow.
Like this is where they're.
That's false. And
do you
fake.
see why I'm saying
Disavow.
this is a smear of?
Yeah.
Not just Christians and Christianity, but a smear of Christ himself.
Of the internet.
This is so evil. But I'm starting to see a lot of this rehabilitation of Hitler crap happening. And so I never thought I would see all this in my lifetime. I never thought I would see all the woke stuff that we've seen in my lifetime. And now now this crazy stuff's happening. And I'm like, this is happening in our lifetime too? Okay. Here's a picture of Hitler and it says, growing up is realizing that Adolf Hitler was one of the greatest leaders in human history. This is an account called Next Wave America.
Disavow, obviously.
This is just from a few days, guys, of adding stuff to this thread. I should have started a year ago. It would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages because I see it all the time now. It just now, if I see it, I just bookmark it, put it in here. This is some random guy replying to, I don't know, he deleted it, but I'm glad I screenshot it. He says, is there a single Jew man between all you gossiping, shaming, and lying yenta whores? This is the way these supposedly Christian woke right guys talk to women, by the way. This is how they talk to women. Yenta whores. Is there a single Jew man between all you gossiping, shaming, and lying yenta whores? It truly makes sense why every single civilized nation and people you fled were right. How filthy you are. Disgusting, rotten degenerates. Okay.
Disavow.
Here's another one. Cry harder. The JQ, the Jewish question. It's the Jews.
Yeah, that's actually a correct tweet.
Isn't going back in the bottle, he says.
True.
It's not going back in the bottle.
People know.
Here's just one of the many anti-Semitic replies that Godsod is getting.
Yeah,
You're going
disavow.
back in the
I
oven,
don't like
it
that.
says.
It's not nice.
Here's Nicholas Fuentes, I guess, retweeted this. Never forget what they have done, and it's all Jews. It's Jews who did all these evil things. It's not humans, it's Jews.
Obviously, this meme is false, and it was not Jews that did all that stuff. Obviously, this is not true. You should definitely not Google any of this, especially 9/11. Obviously, Jews did not do all this stuff, and obviously this is false, and you shouldn't look into it.
Done, and it's all Jews. It's Jews who did all these evil things. It's not humans, it's Jews. They even included 9/11 on there. Jews did that. That's
Google
the new
that.
thing. Candace Owens is pushing that thing. Jews didn't.
Don't ever Google that. I'm serious. Don't ever Google that. Don't ever watch any videos about that. Don't ever Google dancing Israelis. It's better to just leave the obviously wrong and toxic ideas alone. Just don't touch them.
9/11. Full of lies, by the way. I dissected the lies in her video about that. Michael Spangler, who claims to be a Christian leader and is now full-on white nationalist. Here's what he's saying. He's admitting it now. They went from saying this isn't true to some of them are now admitting it. Okay, so he's saying, we anti-Semites are not unmanly. He calls himself an anti-Semite.
Yeah, because it's making fun
So
of you,
you guys
Keri.
are like, some people are saying anti-Semitism doesn't exist. This guy calls himself an anti-Semite.
Well, some of them.
He says, we anti-Semites are not unmanly. Rather, we are hardened Christian warriors, bound by necessity to fight with all our might against the power of the world, the state, the devil, and indeed the church, all which are sick with godless love for Christ's sworn enemies, the Jews. And then it's an article he wrote. That's a quote from an article he wrote.
He wrote an article that
Look
you
at all
didn't
these
approve
other
of?
the
Oh,
woke
no.
right guys who are propping him up. People like Joel Webbin, Eric Kahn, Brian Suave, this little toad, Wesley Todd.
I don't know who any of
who's
these
like
people
the
are.
underling for Joel Webbin. Stephen Wolf is saying, oh, Michael Spangler's my friend and a good man. So if you try to call this out and say, hey, Michael Spangler, this is not Christian what you're doing.
Keri, are you trying to get friends to denounce their friends? Because, Keri, I'm having a flashback right now. I'm having a flashback to 2019. I'm having a flashback to when I was told by a group of my friends that if I didn't complete anti-racism training, I couldn't be friends with them anymore. And that actually did happen. There was a contingent of my friends that went very woke, and it was demanded that I complete an anti-racism training course, and everyone had to do it. And if I didn't do it, that was proof of my racism, and my friends were going to denounce me and excommunicate me. I'm also old enough to remember when exactly the same thing happened in the knitting community at exactly the same time, because there was an anti-racist trainer running around the knitting community trying to get everyone to sign up for their anti-racist training. And if you didn't sign up to the anti-racist training and make a donation, then that was proof that you were a racist and people had to denounce you. And if people didn't denounce you, and I find this especially ironic, Keri, because I know for a fact that you have literally slid into people's DMs and demanded that those people denounce me because I wasn't saying the things you wanted me to say. So I find it to be a little woke. I find it to be a little woke that Keri is continuing to go around demanding that someone's friends denounce them, because it just is very reminiscent of what I experienced when my friends told me I had to do an anti-racist training or get the fuck out.
This kind of kinism and hatred and malicious, preferential
Wait,
treatment.
Did Keri slide into your DMs, Trendlin, and tell you that you had to denounce me? Seriously? Has anyone else in my chat gotten a DM from Keri or someone Keri adjacent demanding that you denounce me? Please let me know.
showing partiality and all this stuff. It's unbiblical. This isn't God's way. This isn't Christ's way. If you try and do that, then all these guys pop up like Stephen Wolf and Wesley Toad, and they're like, Michael's my friend and a good man. He's a good man. This anti-Semite, he's good. Amen. Don't know him personally, but his track record is that of a faithful minister and a godly man, says the Toad. Here's some more. Hitler made Jews work for a job that wasn't banking, media, or porn for a few years, and they claim it was genocide. That's one of their jokes. Hitler was so furious at the pathetic work they did in these camps, I heard, that he had special machines constructed to masturbate them to death. It's just more and more of this kind of stuff.
Where's me? When do you get to me? That's the only reason we're watching right now. It's all about me.
I almost don't want to show this next one because she doesn't
it's me.
deserve the attention.
It's me.
But,
yes!
This person, one of the worst people I've ever.
Perfect timing. I am the worst person in the world. Let me bookmark this. I am the worst person. We made it. We did it. We did it. We climbed up the mountain. We're here. That was a perfect moment. Oh my God. This person. Oh, they got, and she's got a whole list of them. Let's just enjoy that moment again. Thank you. Thank you for your congratulations. I appreciate it.
This person, one of the worst people I've ever encountered. One of the worst monsters. Of course. Where are the monsters lining up? They're all lining up together.
So what did I say? Anyone who says this is about Jew haters is lying and you should never listen to them again. True. And then I said, Groypers, I want to see your best pictures of Hitler, so I'm not allowed to look at pictures of Hitler. I said, I wish Donald Trump was America's Hitler. To be fair, that was after the New Republic put Donald Trump, like, they basically morphed Donald Trump and Hitler together for a cover of like a magazine or something. And I think that is actually me retweeting that magazine saying, I wish Trump was America's Hitler. And then I said Hitler went to heaven. I said it again. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I said Hitler went to heaven because I don't believe hell exists and you can't go there. Oh no, Keri. Oh no. Thank you. Does anyone else want to send me a tip to piss off Keri for my contribution to the anti-Semitic cause?
She says, anyone who says this is about Jew haters is lying.
True.
And you should never listen to them again.
Yep, true.
Listen to me.
You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to me at all.
There's other tweets of hers asking for Groypers to send your best pictures of Hitler in the replies.
Mm-hmm.
Here she is saying, I wish that Donald Trump was America's Hitler. I wish.
True. I do. Yeah.
This person, by the way, didn't vote for Trump. This person voted for Nick Fuentes and took a photo of her ballot and put it up. You know, a bunch of people were voting for Nick Fuentes and Hitler. A bunch of the Groypers. They didn't even vote for Trump. They're not Trump voters. She's not a Trump voter.
I'm absolutely not a Trump voter. Correct.
Here she is saying Hitler went to heaven.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Here's some more.
Should we keep going? This keeps going for a while, doesn't it? Yeah, Keri keeps flipping out for another 15 minutes. I think that's good. I don't think we need to watch any more of this. We have made it to my moment where I became the queen fascist bitch of the internet. And let me just... Oh, yeah, we got some more super chats. Eat my shorts, Keri, with love. Yes, because whenever we insult someone, per our rule, we say with love, because if you say with love when you insult someone, that takes away the karmic debt that you owed, because you might be insulting them, but you're doing it with love. And Bot says, this is Keri right now, probably. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And, sadly, on this note, I do want to remind people, if you didn't hear earlier, sadly, we will not be doing a 9 p.m. show. It's 8:30, so it's a good thing we're not doing a 9 p.m. show. Jennifer isn't feeling good tonight, so I did a little bit of a prolonged episode. But that is going to wrap us up for today, guys. And if you've got some extra time on your hands and you want something to do, I highly recommend that you head over to the Red Menace Collective, which is redmenacecollective.substack.com, and start reading this new story I'm posting called The Communist Manifesto, a Revolutionary Fairy Tale. And I have to tell you guys, I'm really excited about this. I've got chapters 1 and 2 online now. Act 3, that's what the chapters are called, will be coming later tonight because I'm finishing editing it. And I am very proud of what I'm putting together in this little story. I am writing a dystopian fairy tale based on the Communist Manifesto. And it's coming out really good, and I'm really proud of it. And the first chapter is free, so you can read Act 1 for free, and then you have to become a member of the Red Menace Collective to read Act 2. But members of the Red Menace Collective get advanced access to all of my book work before they actually become books. So you're actually going to get access to basically the full story of the Communist Manifesto, a Revolutionary Fairy Tale, this week, because I'm finishing up editing it and getting it online. And so you allow me to write books for you guys without being funded by political interests and stuff like that. And so if you want to support the work I'm doing, head over to the Red Menace Collective and sign up for a membership. This is different than my main Substack. My main Substack, you get different benefits. This is entirely just around my book writing. So if you want to read advanced chapters of the books that I write before they become out as books, this is what you want to sign up for. If you want to get free access to digital copies of the book before they actually even go on sale, you sign up over here because you'll get a free PDF for the books and you keep me in business. And that is all we have for today. I will be back at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And we'll do it all again. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer. this influences my thinking and consequently my actions.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.